Let's see if I have sound.
Ready to stream.
And I do. Okay. We're ready to go, Little Joan. Ready to go. Let me check my levels. They look decent. Decent enough. Hey, what? Welcome to the live stream where we do it live. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Ardent is here. He says William Shakespeare in past tense would have been Shookspeared. Hello. Hello, Ardent. That's true. Shookspeared. All right. So we got a couple of minutes before it actually hits 7. So what did I do this weekend? Well, I'll tell you. I went to the I Heart Horror Convention, and I did a nursing home at the beginning of the week. That went fine in Hamilton. I went to the Hamilton Center. They were very nice. But Saturday, I went to I Heart Horror Part 3, Groundhogzilla. Not sure what that means, but so I signed some books and sold some books and met some folks. It was very nice. I had one particular fan who I'll mention in a minute. JEC is here. Hi. And Ardent says hello. So I had one fan who came up to the table, and he was he is what I can refer to as a Pineys super fan, because he knew all the characters' names. He was rattling them off. And he had read the first 3 books, and he went on for like 15, 20 minutes, just raved about them. It was very nice to hear. Ardent, oh yeah, happy Lawn Pig Day. Lawn Pig Day. What is lawn? Oh, you mean the groundhog. Is that today? I thought it was yesterday. I don't know. I think he saw his shadow, so we get more winter or something. Something like that. Puxatani Phil. LeMay is here. Hi, LeMay. Yeah, that was about my week. Trying to do some work. You ever have one of those weeks you're working and you don't feel like you're getting anything done? That kind of was my week. I did work on stuff, but man, it didn't feel like I got anything done. JC, that's awesome when people are fans. It is really nice. It's really nice to hear. It's very gratifying, says JEC. Ardent at LeMay, low. So it was a nice show. They fed me. That's always nice. The only thing that sucked is I was on the 2nd floor and the elevator broke. I had to carry all my books up there, which was a bit of a workout, but not too bad. I survived. I'm not one to complain too heavily about that unless it's something really, really stupid. It just broke. I mean, what are you gonna do? There was a lot of bands at this thing too, and a lot of people. Ran out of parking like before we even got started. Carter Chain is here. Hey, I'm finally able to catch a stream. Welcome back, Carter Chain. Ardent, good for the legs and cardio. Yes, it is. But I'm in my Pineys outfit and I'm like sweating, and it's like 70 degrees inside and it's like 20 degrees outside. One of those days. But no, it was all good. Good show. Next up for me, I'm doing a bunch of nursing homes this month. And I'm doing Nerd Fest on the 23rd. But I got to get a couple of more shows. I feel like February's a little too late. And I got to really buckle down. All right, it's 7 o'clock. Speaking of buckle down, Arden says, hey, CC. Speaking of buckle down, let's get right into it. Let's not wait any longer. One of my predictions came true this week on the box office, and that is Dogman is the #1 movie. I thought it would be. Made $36 million, which isn't bad, but I mean, in this economy, in this time of year, $40 million. Oh wow, not doing well internationally. I guess it's not as big as an IP. This is a kid's book. Or comic, I should say. Have a it does have a budget. Okay, so it's already made its budget back. So this should make money. This should be money. just domestically. 40 million. Good for Dogman. All right. It's a wacky kids movie about a policeman and a dog. They get into a car accident, and so the doctors decide to sew the dog's head on the man's body, and he becomes Dogman. And you can't think about it too hard because obviously that's horrible. JC, yeah, Dogman is big with kids. Yeah, so and it looks like a fun movie. I mean, I wouldn't see it on my own, but if I had kids or I had to take some younger relatives, it doesn't look like it would be a total chore to watch this thing. Yeah, so that's doing well. Most likely, a release this time of year probably is a good reason. And then number 2 is Companion. I didn't think this movie would do super well. Not like a kids movie. 9.5 million, 15 million worldwide. This is for like people who are into like weird sadistic stuff, I think. Like if you saw The Secretary or 50 Shades of Grey, it's kind of like in that vein. About a dude who, I don't know if he kidnaps some girl or she's just a weirdo, and then he does horrible things to her. I don't know. I don't really want to know. Not my kind of film at all. Just annoys me and bores me. I don't care how hot the girl is. I don't want to see people hurt and tortured. It's boring. Boring. It's boring. Oh, I gotta think of a way to get away from him. Oh, I don't know. Kick down the door and run. I mean, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be an elaborate thing that he has rigged up in his apartment, and she can never leave, and she has to go through all this drama to get away from. No thanks. But 9.5 million to the sadist out there, I guess. LeMay for the dark romance girlies. Exactly. Avoid those. Red flag. I wasn't too good with noticing red flags in my day, but I usually notice that one. Ardent movie pitch: Sydney Sweeney in tight-fitting clothing orders a lift and gets a ride. That's it. Sounds great. I'd rather watch that than The Companion. So sure, have it on my desk by Tuesday. Carter, happy Groundhog Day. I almost forgot. Thank you. Yes, I guess it's today. I thought it was yesterday, but Puxatani Phil did see his shadow. So we will have 5 more weeks of tariffs. Sorry, Canada. No, we're going to have 5 more weeks of winter. You're going to have the tariffs. And I feel very bad, but what are you going to do? It's your stupid prime minister. And you guys know that more than anyone. But hopefully he'll be going away soon. He'll be going away, and then somebody else will get in there that'll make things right. So, and I look forward to the Keystone Pipeline coming back. That's what I'm waiting for. Get that thing built again, or expanded, or whatever the hell Biden canceled. Get things back to normal. I think that's what we're headed towards. It's just going to take a few months. So, number 3, dropping from 2 to 3, Mufasa, The Lion King. 6.1 million. Jeez, this thing won't stop. Ardent, don't feel bad. Our politicians are responsible for not doing S about the border. That's sucks. I know. We just went through 4 years of that, and let me tell you something. It's night and day. It's like friggin' night and day down here. It's just day after day of people just coming across. Nobody's stopping them. And I mean, I know you guys have had it longer, much longer, but you'll get there one day. You'll get there. You'll get your Trump, I hope. JC, Trump seems to think He's William McKinley, wanting to get rid of income tax and replace it with tariffs. Yes, he's a big fan of McKinley, as well as Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, I believe, was also very against a central bank. I believe he may have been the first to kill the central bank, because I think we had one before the Federal Reserve, and that got killed, and then I guess it was Jackson went out, or maybe it was McKinley killed it. I don't remember. But yeah. Oh my God, I will be there to carve his face on Mount Rushmore if he gets rid of income tax. It'll be like we'll be celebrating in the streets. Ardent, I covered a bunch of stories on my show today about the state of the border. I assume you mean your border. Yeah, I'm not sure what the state of the Canada-U.S. border. I remember back in the day, it was barely a thing to worry about. People cross back and forth across the border all the time. Nobody cared. Now it's like a big deal. LeMay. Yes, Jackson tried to destroy it. I thought he was successful. He wasn't successful. Ardent. Was McKinley assassinated? Yes. I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, he was the president who served the shortest. I think he was only in there for less than a month. Ardent. Canada has only one national border. Well, I mean, technically the ocean, but yeah. JC, when he said, "Make America Great Again," people thought he meant the 1950s, where everyone had a house and a family, not the 1890s with robber barons and constant military expansions. Well, look, the 50s financially were great for a bunch of reasons. And it's very complicated. I don't want to get too deep in it, but you've got, the gearing up of our industry during the war. And then when it all sort of geared down and went into consumer production, at the same time we built our highway infrastructure. And at the same time with that, Europe was blown to pieces, and so everybody was coming to us for goods, and we had all kinds of factories ready to roll. So there was a bunch of factors there in the 50s that made it happen. And even though we still had the Federal Reserve and other things at that time, they weren't nearly as onerous as they are today. So the 1890s had some good points. I mean, you don't have to bring back robber barons or military expansionism. I don't think taking back the Panama Canal is military expansionism. We built it. And we build friggin' military bases everywhere. So building one on the Panama Canal and saying, hey, our ships get to go through here at a discount, I don't have a problem with that one. That's not really expanding things. We owned it. As far as Greenland goes, we're not going to fight a war over Greenland. We're going to buy it. And if we don't buy it, we're going to free the Greenlanders, and then we're going to buy their loyalty. That's the way it's probably going to go. JC, yes, McKinley was assassinated. It was shortly into his second term. Then Teddy Roosevelt took over. Ardent, constant military expansion? Ooh, I've got chills now. Yes, please. No, we're not going to have that. Trump's been very anti-war. LeMay, Jackson was also in over 200 duels over his wife's purity. He also chased down and beat a would-be assassin with his cane. I do remember that. He was a nut. JEC, yes, after WW2, only industrialized major country was the USA. Canada too, but you guys have 10 times the population. Yeah. Ardent at JEC, was Teddy McKinley's VP? Was Teddy McKinley's VP? I guess he must have been, yeah. Ardent, yeah, Jackson was badass. And one of the things that happened to Trump during his first term was I believe they went after Jackson's statue in D.C., and Trump got really pissed about that. He's a huge fan. Huge fan. But, I like that Trump knows some friggin' history. Other than the nonsense that most presidents just repeat that eighth graders know and the average American knows. Um, Trump has some deep cuts from the presidents, which is what I like about him. Not too deep. You can't go too deep, but yeah. I mean, I think I don't think Trump has any designs on serious military expansionism. But the thing is about a country like Mexico, which is like at this point almost a borderline failed state, uh, basically run by the cartels. Scott Adams talked about this on his podcast, and he's interviewed a couple of guys on the subject, and he follows it pretty closely. But his sort of take on it is we basically run the cartels in Mexico. Like, they are our guys, essentially. And the CIA basically runs them because that's how you run Mexico. Like, the government doesn't run anything. Essentially, the cartels do, for the serious stuff. So, like, if you're going to wipe out the cartels, you're essentially wiping out what governance they had. So, and if you're going to be paying either bribes to the cartels or giving so much foreign aid to a corrupt government in Mexico, you might as well take it over and run it. But we'll see what happens. Ardent, you have to know your history. It tells you where the pitfalls are. Kite is here. There's Kite. Don't even need to expand. Just keep it funded. Also, hey guys, JC, I mean, you're going to end up with the 21st century equivalent of robber barons, technocratic oligarchs, basically, getting rid of all income tax and replacing it with tariffs. The thing is this. You have to open up the system to the point at which everybody on a small level can start and run their own business. And that was a big factor in the 1950s. People could start businesses for all kinds of things. There just wasn't nearly as many regulations. And because of that, there was all kinds of crazy innovation. Now, over the years, there were also, a-holes. But if you have a proper balanced system, the a-holes get caught and sued into oblivion, and the ones that innovate and have a good product or good service or whatever, they get rich. So I think we need a balance, and there's certain businesses, you're not really going to innovate too much, right? So if you open a pizza shop, you're probably not going to be innovating to the point at which people are stealing your patents. But, you're going to, if you have good service and good pizza, people will come and you'll make money. The problem is it's businesses like that, at least at the state level, that really get taxed here, at least in New Jersey. And so hopefully at the federal level we can ease that, and that'll be very appealing. And then hopefully we're poised to probably get a Republican governor in 2025, and so hopefully we'll get one, and hopefully whoever it is will follow Trump's lead and undo a lot of the state regulations. Now, that won't be for every state, but at least the federal stuff will go away, or at least some of it. And then you'll see people starting more businesses. If you want more businesses, or if you want prices to go down, competition is the easiest way. So you have to incentivize the smaller guys. And what regulation does is it crushes the little guys, right? So they were talking about an internet tax at one point. I think it's been mostly shut down, but some states have instituted it, and you have to pay like tax on certain items depending on your state. But long story short, the internet tax would not be anything to a company like eBay. It wouldn't matter to them. They would just pass it on to the buyers and sellers, and they wouldn't even think twice about it. But it does mean something to someone who starts a competing eBay, because then it becomes more onerous to start a company like that. So if you can alleviate all these burdensome regulations so that little guys can compete in the marketplace to some degree at least, then that competition drives the innovation. This is the problem with our healthcare system. We used to have health before HMOs. Hospitals weren't really required on a lot of things. Now, there was a lot of problems with those hospitals. You might go into one of those hospitals and die. Part of it was the technology. Part of it was just sort of the lack of regulations that were in it. If you had a greedy, unscrupulous doctor, you could be in big trouble in the early 1900s at a hospital. But if we had that today, with the innovation of the internet, that would be greatly lessened, because once word leaked out that a hospital in New York City was screwing everybody over, nobody would go to it. They would run to the competition. Now, you can't always do that if you're sick and it's an emergency, but it's the general concept of that. All right, sorry for my Austrian economics rant. Ardent. Canada's in bad shape and is likely going to get far worse. If we don't get a massive change next election, you guys might have to take us, at least partly. I think we can. In fact, somebody figured it out that even with the new electors, if most of them go blue, we'd still be okay. I don't think that's going to happen. I think once the real money people in Canada start losing their shirts, they're going to do everything in their power to get Trudeau and anybody who's like Trudeau out of power. That's what's a good thing about it. You know, a lot of people look at Elon and they say, "Oh, he's an oligarch or whatever." They're only oligarchs when they start to abuse power. When they're for populism, they're fine. They're great, in fact, because the guys who started this country, they were rich. Washington was very wealthy, but he had vision and ideas, and he looked at the bigger picture. And I think Elon's kind of like that, and a lot of other guys are. Now, not so much like Zuckerberg. I think he's just jumping in with the rest of the bros, but the broligarchs, as they called it in Variety, that was a great term, broligarchs. But you need the rich guys, because some of them are cool. Now, some of them are a-holes, but some of them are cool. I kind of like Bezos, actually. I mean, he runs Amazon. He's making me money, but I don't mind him. I don't think he's that big of an a-hole. I don't like that he took money from the CIA, but I don't see him as a ideologue. He's more of I'm going to make a gazillion dollars kind of guy. JC, poor people pay tariffs, rich get richer. I don't know how to respond to that. Look, not everything is tariff. I live in South Jersey. There are tons of farms here. Guess what? My blueberries will not be tariffed because they're grown here. The things that are going to get tariffed are things I buy overseas. If I don't buy those overseas items, I just buy the stuff here. We have enough stuff in the United States. In fact, we have so much stuff, it sort of boggles the mind. For something like shoes, for instance, there's still millions and millions of pairs of like Kanye West Yeezy shoes in some flea markets all over the country. Those could last us for literally years before we run out of them. So yeah, you won't get the top of the line, I don't know, blueberries in the dead of winter at the price you want them, but you'll still be able to get blueberries. I won't be able to get the top of the line shoes I want because probably made in China, or it'll cost a little more. So what? I'll go a few weeks without them. Tariffs are not bad for the country that already has tons of money and tons of goods. What we don't have here is enough incentive to build our own crap. The tariffs then provide that. The other thing that has to balance them out is the income tax, along with the cutback on regulation. I can't do the math off at the top of my head, but I bet Trump can. Ardent, low kite. LeMay, my dad was sent down to Central America on some business when he was in the Marines. Yep, the feds were down there. They're everywhere. LeMay, over 80% of Americans owned a small business at one point. Yeah, I think it should be more like 90%. JC, get rid of income tax for people who make under 50K, families that make under 100K, and cut government spending and taxes across the board. In Canada, if you make under 20K, you don't need to pay income. 20K today is probably closer to 50K today. Or 20K today is probably closer to 50K today. I think you mean 20K back then. JC, 50K back when they made that rule, I mean. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you if you can't get rid of income tax, but I'm fine with getting rid of it altogether because then you don't have to enforce it. It's enforcing it that's super expensive too here because everybody cheats on their taxes, I've heard, not me, and you can't enforce it. There's just too many people when too many people break the law, it becomes unenforceable. I think it's an unenforceable law and they need to get rid of it. The tariffs did it at one point, and what the tariffs will also do, it'll force us to stop spending more because they'll reach the point where, well, we can't raise the tariffs anymore because otherwise we won't be able to buy anything and people will starve, so we can't have this war. That's why we should go back to a currency that's backed by something so it can't be devalued because that also drives the engines of war. All the way back to the Romans, they would devalue their own currency to keep the war going. LeMay, income tax was supposed to be temporary anyway. Very true. It was originally a temporary tax to pay for the Civil War. Ardent, yeah, government needs to get out of the way and let the market fight it out. Just be there to prevent monopolistic practices. Yeah, and to keep the playing field level. If we can possibly do that. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my screen here. There we go. Kite, speaking of the government getting involved in business, the BBC is pissed nobody is paying TV license anymore because no one watches live TV, even though it only covers BBC programming. I don't blame. I've been saying that for a little while now. I think you should all stop paying your TV license and stop watching it. What the hell good is there to watch on the BBC that you can't watch on the internet? And I think the internet's better anyway. That's why I got rid of my TV. It's not my license, but I had to pay for cable. Screw it. I used to get TV I remember when TV came in the air for free. I miss that. Ardent, yeah, we have an oligarchy in Canada worse than Yeltsin's Russia. JC, we need our own refineries and pipelines to the ocean up here. Harper wanted to make then, but Trudeau screwed us. Now we're effed. Well, it's always darkest before the dawn. Ardent at Kite, the BBC deserves to fail like all government television. Kite, few years go by, they planned to go after streaming services, but only could make it work for TV channel-based apps. However, now they are floating the idea again with Netflix because it now has live show. I don't even think that's worth it. Quite frankly, I wouldn't pay for Netflix if they asked me. I somehow get it for free. I don't remember how. I think YouTube's free. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. It's endless. Ardent at JEC, absolutely. NFLD used to have a refinery. Now we just pull resources out of the ground and ship it out, totally wasting our opportunities. Kite, why should a government get to force a change on people that actively will affect the money a business will make because people will cancel out of spite and just pirate? Yeah, I agree. JC, you guys get about 50% of your crude oil from us and the oil sands. I know Trump would say you're going to drill your own oil, but maybe wait until you have the oil flowing. He's already gotten OPEC to increase stuff, and we just settled the hash of Maduro in Venezuela, and he's got all sorts of crude oil. It needs more refining, which means it's more expensive. But the once gas gets over $3 a gallon here, that usually means that the Citgo stations, which are owned by the Venezuelan government, are now competitive with the rest of the stations. So I think one of the things, Rick Grenell just went down to Venezuela and talked to Maduro and got him to take back all his illegal aliens, and he agreed immediately. So that says to me that he's probably got an oil deal in the works with Maduro, and we'll just get some from him. I mean, there's plenty of people. LeMay, I used to watch free rabbit-eared TV when I was broke. Then they switched from analog to digital, and you had to buy a converter box. Yeah, I used to have working televisions in every room of my house, and I hooked them up. I split the wire, and I had a guy split the rest of the wires into every room in my house. And now you need a digital converter box for every room. It's ridiculous. Ardent. LOL, one of the stories last week was about how Canada is receiving Russian oil through middleman refineries. Yeah, there's the Russians too. If we settle the Russians' hash, we'll get some of their oil. I mean, we only need it until we can get our own stuff up and running again. And I have a feeling that's not going to take very long. Maybe a year, maybe two, before that starts flowing. But I thought the Canadians, even Trudeau, would just cave immediately because he didn't want to deal with this stuff. But he seems like a guy who wants to F everybody on his way out. So, Ardent, I remember twisting rabbit ears with copper wire to improve the black and white Star Trek. I remember hooking up a coat hanger to the wires and doing something similar with like a pair of pliers. I have a friend who recently got back into antenna TV because we still have broadcast TV here in South Jersey. It's just better if you have a pair of rabbit ears, and there's apparently a whole like community of guys who are doing antenna TV, and they exchange tips on how to use it and the channels you can get if you move the antenna a certain way. I just don't even like network TV anymore. There's nothing on it worth a damn. I can go to my friend's house or my parents' or my brother's house. I can watch all that damn TV I want. I don't do it. There was only like 2 or 3 shows I watched, and half of them I won't watch anymore. I won't watch Bob Burgers anymore because I'm mad at what they did to Jimmy Pesto, and the show's kind of started going woke anyway. I'm done with The Simpsons after they went woke. So that was the other show. I was kind of getting out of Archer anyway. I kind of want to see the last few seasons of Archer just to wrap it up, but I mean, it was a great show when it started, and beyond that, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 other shows. I can't even remember them. So, oh yeah, Rick and Morty. I'm definitely out of Rick and Morty. Out of protest, I think Justin Roiland, the creator of the show, whatever he did, wasn't proven. Maybe he's an unethical D-bag. It sounds like he could be. I can't say for sure, but I can say it's his creation, and if you're gonna watch the show, you want to watch it with the original voice guy and the guy who created it. I don't watch some knockoff Rick and Morty. I'm not watching that crap. So I'm out on that. So there's nothing left for me on regular TV. Oh, except It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I would like to watch the last few seasons of that, but it was starting to go downhill anyway. I hear they had a crossover with Abbott Elementary. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Although I don't know what Abbott Elementary is. I hear it's good, but who the hell knows? Ardent, that's awesome. Can't stop the signal. Haha. JC, Trump wants to be McKinley, but he's going to end up like Grover Cleveland. He served 2 terms non-consecutive and derailed his second term almost immediately, messing around with tariffs. We shall see, my friend. I don't think the tariffs are going to play out like you think. Somebody's going to cave real soon. Now, the Chinese, I don't think they're going to cave. I mean, for 10%, they're just going to make all their slaves work harder to make up the difference, which is a shame, but what are you going to do? I mean, you got to do something at China. Canada and Mexico will blink. Panama already folded up shop today. I just saw that on Twitter. They're ready to give us back the canal and cut a deal, whatever that's going to be. Whatever it is, it's going to be worth it for us. We're going to have ships going through there with next to nothing for a fee, and we're going to save all kinds of crazy money. People are going to want to trade with us because we're going to have more flexibility in that area. You know, it's going to be cheaper, whatever. So, you know, whatever it takes to get some more damn factories in this country. The next thing he has to do is he has to really cut back regulation. That's the hardest part here. JC, Trudeau is trying to use the tariffs to invoke an emergency act and push off the elections longer. Try to make it Canada versus the U.S. to get people behind them. Yeah, it's a typical dictator type move. I think you guys are sick enough of Trudeau that you're probably not going to let that happen. People won't stand for it. I'm hoping. Ardent, Canada will fold like an origami once the election gets done, if the election happens. Yeah, if I were Trudeau, I'd think really long and hard before I evoked emergency powers. See what they did in South Korea with that guy? He tried to evoke some emergency powers. How'd that work out? LeMay, lots of jobless Chinese are going to be put to work. Well, there's no such thing really as jobless Chinese, from my understanding. Everybody in a communist country has a job. Kite. Thing is, America doesn't really need anyone. They need America. That's why America First slogan scare globalists. To a large extent, that's true. Under our current system, though, you know, we have gotten it. For instance, we learned during the pandemic, the last aspirin factory here closed up, I don't know, 20 years ago, which everybody here was, I can say, without a doubt, everybody here was shocked, friggin' shocked at that revelation. We were talking about that for like a week. There are no factories that make aspirin anymore in America. It turns out we were getting them all from China. So to me, that's the top of the list. We got to build an aspirin factory here. And I don't know if we have to subsidize it or what, but we have to do something to make it workable again. We just need factories back. And they're not that hard to build. I mean, it'll take a while to get them up and running, but I mean, we build things pretty quickly here. If you've ever seen some of the housing developments go up around here, it's crazy how quick they go up. Now, that's not the same as a factory. There's machinery involved, but you know, that's a different team of guys that comes in and installs the machinery. It's not that hard. Ardent, is aspirin really all that big a factor? Well, it's kind of in everything. Like, you always got it in first aid kits, and it's sort of a universal. It's just one of those drugs everybody sort of needs. Like, if you don't have Tylenol or ibuprofen, you need some friggin' aspirin. Definitely, if you're a guy my age, you need some low, what do they call it? Low milligram aspirin, like 60 milligrams. You're supposed to take to keep your blood thin so you don't have a heart attack. Or if you're feeling like you're having a heart attack, you're supposed to take some aspirin. You should always, if you're in your 50s, you should always have some aspirin on hand, they say. And if you're feeling like you ate too much and you're starting to like get agita, as they say, you take a couple of aspirin just to be safe. Ardent, get some Amish to build the factory. Be up in 3 days. Yeah, no kidding. Those guys are amazing. They have factories. The Amish are very industrious. What they build are these things. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're fake fireplaces, but they still have heat coming out of them, right? So it's like a fake fireplace, and then I don't know how it works, but it's not real fire in it. It just looks like it, but then there's actual heat coming off of it. And they make them, I don't know, they have some secret Amish way, I guess. And they make them, they make like, pagodas and sheds all around me. They've got at least 3 or 4 markets near me, and all those markets have multiple businesses inside them. They're all Amish run, most of them. They always have a great deli. They have a pretzel stand in one. They just took over the Berlin Farmers Mart not too long near me, and they got a lot of great businesses in there. So yeah, those guys know what they're doing. LeMay, Romania's election was canceled. The far-right candidate won, and someone screamed Russian election interference, so the authorities are going to start over. Yeah, that's no bueno. But that's Romania. That's Europe, unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened in Germany. Coming up, I think they have an election soonish. Because the way they're talking about the AFD, they're talking about like they're not going to let it go through. This is the part of the problem with the EU. The EU shouldn't exist. Should have never. I strongly suspect it was our baby. The EU was like a deep state op that now has gotten out of control, of course. So hopefully the whole thing will collapse and we'll go back to a bunch of countries in Europe that do their own thing and have their own cool money. I miss all the cool money you had. I used to collect that stuff back when I was a kid. So, yeah, I mean, fortunately, the internet accelerates everything. So the patterns of behavior that used to take years and years now seemingly just get accelerated by, in months and months instead of years and years. So we'll see what happens. JC, EU was plan B for Germany to take over Europe. Maybe, but gosh, I'm trying to remember what I read. I read something that we had a hand in it, but it may very well have originally been a German plan, but then we stole a bunch of stuff from the Germans after the war. So if you look at the plans that the Germans had, they basically had the plans for the stealth bomber back in the 40s. And basically, when they built it in the 40s, the idea was the Germans were it was just one giant gas tank. The idea was they were going to drive it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, bomb New York, and then drive all the way back and pick up new bombs. But fortunately, it never got off the ground, so to speak. Ardent, LOL, some absolute nincompoop on my X feed suggested Canada might consider joining the EU. Bah ha 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 ha. They got utterly roasted. Yeah, I don't know how likely that is from where I'm sitting, but that seems unlikely. I mean, if Trudeau was at the height of his power, maybe, but seems like people wouldn't stand for it. So seems like the Albertans wouldn't like it, and the Quebec guys never cooperate anyway, right? So you have at least 2 provinces that probably wouldn't go along. And going broke is a very clarifying experience for people. So when you go broke, suddenly all the woke stuff just sort of fades behind the scenes, and you're like, hey, I can't pay my bills. Hey, I just ate a slice of bread for dinner. Let's do something here. So very clarifying when people finally lose their money. All right, let's get back into movies. So Mufasa at number 3 from 2, 6.1 million. I can't believe this movie's still gunning it, but it is. Number 4 dropping from 3, One of Them Days, 6 million. Not bad for its 3rd week. I thought this movie would do okay. 34K. What did it cost? 14. Yeah, so this made money. This is in the green. They'll make another one of these. This is the kind of comedies they should be making. Low budget comedies. It's not even that low of a budget. $14 million for a comedy? It's kind of a lot. I could make a friggin' awesome comedy movie for $14 million. So, let's make a bunch of these. I mean, again, Disney, all you have to do is cancel one of your stupid $200 million Marvel movies, and you can make, how many? 10, let's say 15 of these movies? Make 15 of movies like one of them days, and you're good to go. You'll probably make double your money back. Lost my place here. Oh, Ardent got redacted. Ardent removed to get away from the politics. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to go too deep. I'm sorry if anybody's like, oh, when are you going to talk about movies? Number 5, dropping from 1 is Flight Risk. 5.6 million, dropped by 52%, so not too bad. Wasn't exactly burning up the charts last week. This is Marky Mark is Bald movie, and he is a bad guy in it. But weirdly, he's on the movie poster, which I find funny, because I don't think he's the hero. I think he's a hitman. 25 million. This movie's at 25 million. Okay. I don't know if that's money. I mean, it's definitely not really losing money. It's now we're just into, is it going to make its advertising budget back? I mean, if we use the formula, it's another. Could they have possibly spent $25 million advertising this? I don't think so, but maybe. So what can you make? I don't think it'll make it to 50 million. I think it'll make it to about 35. So, I don't think it's money, but it's probably break even at worst. Number 6, dropping from 4, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. In its 7th week as well, 3.2 million. Let's see how this is lining up. Yeah, they already got the 4th one in the pipeline. But Mufasa is at 600. I can't believe Mufasa did 650 mil, but I don't know. I think it's the worldwide box office. Number 7 is Moana. This friggin' beast of a movie is in its 10th week. 2.8 million. Sadly, we're going to get I'm going to predict at least 2 sequels, but number 8, and it was at 8 last week, A Complete Unknown, Bob Dylan, 2.1 million. They're taking it out of theaters. Some of these movies, they're making okay money. I don't even know why you're bothering to take them out this month. Number 9, rising from 10, is The Brutalist, but it's rising only because they're putting it in more movie theaters. 1.8 million. Again, this movie is 3 hours and 35 minutes. It's made $18 million. They're going to shove a bunch of Oscars into the hands of the guys who made this. Not too many, though. That is reserved for Amelia Perez. Maybe. But, Ardent, 2 sequels and a spinoff. Maui TV show. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll do a bunch of stuff for Moana. A video game or 2. It probably already did a video game. But The Brutalist, I'm definitely waiting for streaming. My girlfriend definitely wants to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but God, 3.5 hours? That's too long. I already hate it. Just to let you know. I already hate this movie. I'm going to predict about an hour in, my girlfriend will give up the ghost and start doing stuff around, she'll start like, I don't know, baking cookies or something and just get bored with the whole thing. And I'll be like, oh, we started watching it. I got to review it now. And I'll tough it out and I'll regret it. JC, leave A Complete Unknown in theaters until after Oscars. It's not nominated. Yeah, might as well. I mean, all these movies, you might as well leave them in until March because what the heck else is coming out? Ardent, LOL, Moana the mobile app, Moana the cereal, Moana the flamethrower. Exactly. Disney knows how to do that. That's the one great thing about Disney, man. You get a hit, Disney knows how to make money, man. They will have Moana everything. I'll never forget going into the produce stand and seeing Star Wars bananas. And I'm like, why the F would they brand Star Wars on bananas? But they did it. Like, ooh, Star Wars bananas. I can't wait to fight with these like I'm using a lightsaber. Like, what are you doing with the branded bananas in Star Wars? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the Brutalist is just too long already. But number 10, drop it from 9, Den of Thieves 2. They greenlit a Den of Thieves 3 already. Lionsgate desperately, I think, wants a franchise. And this is going to be it. So, enjoy that, Gerard Butler fans. 1.6 million this week in its 4th week. Den of Thieves, the serial. Den of Thieves, the mobile app. Den of Thieves, the video game. Might as well have all that, too. I don't know who's going to buy it. Number 11 is Presence. In its 2nd week, dropping 60%. 60% is not good. 1.3 million. Does not have legs. So, I think this is some sort of horror movie. Yeah, some sort of weird ghost horror movie with a family moving into a house. It's made like 5.8 million domestically and 690,000 internationally. That is low. Oh, it's only in a couple of countries. Boy, this didn't get much of a release. Now, they can't play it in China because it's a ghost. I never knew that the Chinese were so against ghosts they won't show ghost movies. But you think it'd be in a few more countries. I don't know. Number 12 is Wicked, dropping from 11, 1.2 million. I mean, you might as well. This is another one of these movies. You might as well just leave it in the theaters. Leave it in the theaters for the next 2 years. I mean, people keep going to see the damn thing. Wolfman, in its 3rd week, dropping from 7 to about 13, kind of falling out of favor, but still made 1.1 million. It doesn't look very good. Nosferatu, a movie I did see, I did not like. 800K in its 6th week. 172 million. It made its money, I think. What did this cost? No budget. I don't think. Well, could have been 100 million. I don't know. JC, China is communist. They're atheists. Don't like the suggestion that there is an afterlife. Right, but ghosts specifically, they won't. But I don't know about like zombie movies. I think zombie movies might be okay there. And I don't know about afterlife movies. That would be an interesting thing to delve into. Ardent, China still has a strong ancestor veneration culture. They do. Number, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is Brave the Dark. This is the Angel Studio movie. Did $769,000. Did $3.8 million overall domestically, dropping by 66% in its 2nd week. That's no bueno for Angel Studios, but they were bound to have one that didn't do well. JC, there could be a sci-fi reason why there are zombies. True. What about vampires? They're undead. Do they count as ghosts, I wonder? Could have a scientific reason for that too. I don't know. I Now you say, I know there's someone said, don't think it was you, that they have a specific rule against ghost movies. Or is it a specific rule against the afterlife movies? Ardent. The Chinese apparently make zombie movies. JC. They allow vampire movies in China. I don't know. I'm saying they might. I'm looking at the text from my girlfriend. I understand, hun. That's. I won't answer on the live stream. I answer you later. Next up, 16, Valiant one. $725,000 just premiered. Which one was this? A team of non-combat army specialists must escape North Korea. Oh, wait, I did see this. Trailer, anyway. After crashing their helicopter behind enemy line. I think this is the... Yeah, this is the South Korean army movie. This looked good. Looked action-packed, in fact. I think this is the one, yeah. I'm almost sure this is the one I saw. It was action-packed, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I wonder if that already... No, it hasn't been released. I guess they released it here first for some reason. Number, I don't know what. Baby Girl is next. $330,000. Nicole Kidman. Very unpleasant to me. No thank you. September 5th, otherwise known as Munich 2.0. $320,000. And then Love Me premiered. This looks like a foreign movie. A story that spans billions of years? A buoy and a satellite meet online long after humanity's extinction. Oh, I did see the trailer for this. I thought it was so stupid I didn't do a write-up of it. So, they like... The buoy and the satellite fall in love because they're sentient, and then they go through humanity's like internet and find a couple to emulate, and then they create a they basically create a virtual world which actually becomes, I think it becomes almost like a real world, and then I think the girl ends up dying anyway, but the satellite or the buoy, I don't know. So it's a weird looking movie. Not necessarily bad, but not one I would go to theaters for. That is definitely like a streaming movie for me. Next up is Flow, the cartoon, the nominated cartoon. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, also nominated, I believe. Anora, which I did see, which was very good, surprisingly good, in its 16th week. Wow. It's 4 months it's been in theaters. But mostly out. Conclave, also nominated for a bunch of awards. I don't know how it possibly can be good other than Ralph Fiennes and his performance, and possibly Stanley Tucci. They are good actors. Homestead, still hanging in there. $49,000. Craven the Hunter. God, $45,000. Still in theaters. Hard Truths from Bleecker Street. Don't remember that one. All We Imagine Is Light. A Real Pain and Vermiglio. What was Hard Truths again? Oh, right. I do remember this movie. It's like an urban drama thing. LeMay, yeah, it seems like a downer movie. JC, apparently zombie movies aren't allowed in China. Looking up what's banned and allowed. Oh, okay. So maybe it's all undead. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's everything that would suggest an afterlife of any kind. So maybe they ban all undead things. Because there are a lot of ghosts in Chinese. You know what it is? There's a lot of ghosts in Chinese mythos. So maybe that's it. They're trying to. It's not so much religion, but they're trying to, as Mao said, get rid of the four olds, and that would be the old culture. So they don't want anything that's reminiscent of that. So there's a lot of crazy mythos in China, and there's a lot of cool ghost stories. There's a cool vampire too. They have a vampire, and I wrote a screenplay with one of these vampires. The Chinese vampire is called, I think it's like Chiang Shi. Probably not saying that right. I don't remember. And JC, apparently ghosts are zombie movies. Apparently ghosts are zombie movies and zombie movies are allowed, but they only allow like 34 Western movies in the theaters there a year. Oh, okay. So they're low priority, maybe. So the Chiang Shi is they call it a Chinese vampire, but it's really not a vampire in the Western sense of a vampire. But instead of drinking blood, the Chiang Shi will eat you whole. That's one thing it does. It also, in the reflection, instead of having no reflection, you'll see it as a terrible monster with long hair and weird looking fangs. And then they can go out in the day. They absolutely can do that. However, you can stop a Chiang Shi by putting a line of rice across a doorway, and they can't cross the doorway. Or you can put a ring around an entire building, and they can't cross the rice, so they can't get into the building at all. So I did an entire screenplay. I actually wrote it for Jackie Chan, and the premise was. It's called Fist of the Vampire, by the way. It's a corrupt cop, and it's played by Jackie Chan. He has to fight this Chinese vampire who's a kung fu guy, and he's like in the triads, of course, because they're the criminals, and it came out great. That's one of my favorite screenplays I wrote. So one of these days, Jackie. LeMay, the only Chinese ghosts are in Chinese opera. The ghost actresses have to wear specialized shoes. Interesting. Special ghost shoes. Oh, God, I'm so itchy. Sorry. It's this winter. Although it's finally warming up here again. We're like already hitting spring. Look at the crazy temperatures here. Today it's cold. But this week, like today it was down to 29. And now it's even up now. Oh my God, it's going to snow in an hour. God dang it. 34 degrees though. It ain't staying. But yeah, it's like 36 degrees now. Tomorrow's going to be 54. That is warm. For February here, that is warm. Then it's going to be 48. Then it drops down to 32 and snows. Then it goes back up into the 50s. On Thursday, 55 degrees and it rains. Friday's 52. Saturday's 41 and rain. Sunday's 50 and rain. That's crazy. That's spring-like temperatures. For February, should be snow on the ground. Ardent, LOL, our winter only just started last week here. Oh, really? So your winter starts in February. Huh. Or was it just global warming kind of thing? JC, yeah, maybe Chinese just don't like the Western ghost movies because their version of ghosts and vampires are so different. Chinese audiences wouldn't connect to them. That's a distinct possibility. Ardent, probably be end of April before it starts to get warm again. Huh. Yeah, we usually have kind of, here we say March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. And so it's usually cold at the beginning of the March, but by the end of March, it's springtime. JC was very cold this week, but wouldn't break zero, but it should break zero later this week. Oof, that is very cold. Ardent, nah, it's not global warming. It's got to do with the ocean currents. Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, we hit spring when I was a kid. We used to have snow on the ground until from about, I'll say, November to late February at least. In March, we would usually still have some on the ground until maybe March 15th. Now, now, like, we get a few spatterings of snow. Like, this year was weird for us because we actually got snow, and then it was cold enough that the snow stayed on the ground for a few days. That was the first time that's happened in a few years here. And we're still getting sort of snow warnings, but most of the snow now like hits and melts the next day. And so we don't really have much in the way of snow anymore, which is great. I love it. I'm not complaining at all. I hate effing snow. We no longer are the type of community that gets snowed in November, and then we have to wait until it thaws out 4 months later. Nope, it just thaws out almost immediately. So it's like late fall here, most of our winter now, and so it's already starting to warm up. JC, above 0 Celsius. 0 Celsius is where water freezes. Oh, okay. So so that's 32. So it's about the same here. About the same. About the same. All right, let's get into some trades. The Grammys were today. I guess they're listing the Grammy winners, and I saw wacky Jaden Smith. You know who he is? Will Smith and Jada something Smith, whatever her name is. Their kid, and he wore a suit, and then his hat was like a castle with his head in the doorway. It was very weird, but he's a weird guy, I think. Ardent, we usually get shillelaghs, oh no, we usually get Sheila's brush, the last skiff of snowfall, mid to late April here. Interesting. Yeah, no, when I was in college, I was in upstate New York, and we would get snow that late, but that's up closer to you guys. JC, Jada Pinkett Smith, that's her name. Another oddball in my view. But yeah, Jaden Smith was notorious on Twitter for being the weirdest guy ever. He would just say the weirdest things. It was funny as hell because he 100% meant them. John Adams is here. Hi, John. Pinkett, thank you. So yeah, for some reason, and then I guess the Smith's Will Smith's daughter also hit the red carpet, and because I guess she's 18 now, and she was like half naked wearing this like weird sports jacket, and then all the paparazzi were screaming at her to turn this way or that. I was like, I kind of felt bad for her, but I know she's insanely rich. Ardent, Sheila's brush is named after a pirate princess, Newfoundland folklore. Oh, neat. That's cool. Justin Baldani's men's Blake Lively lawsuit takes aim at New York Times metadata, claims Ryan Reynolds bullied him with nice pool. I don't think he's got a chance in hell of winning this lawsuit, but he might force him into a settlement, because I don't know if Ryan wants all this bad publicity. It's starting to look bad, I think. It's a smart move, I think, on his part. I don't know if the Reynolds tried to bully Baldani out of the rights to Colleen Hoover's stuff, but something's going on, man. These guys are going at each other. LeMay, I hope Jaden Smith and his friends make season 2 of Neo Yokio. The character's dialogue were just his tweets? Oh my God. Send me a link to that. Ardent, I might have to do a short about it now. Maybe you should. Sounds interesting. Yeah, so this whole Blake Lively Baldani, I thought it would be over by now, but man, they're just going at it. I kind of can't blame Baldani because he's kind of got no out. Like, if he's never going to be able to make a sequel with Blake Lively and the Colleen Hoover book he optioned. So his franchise is kind of stalled in that respect. I don't think the studio would greenlight a movie without her. So he'd have to negotiate with her, and there's no way she's going to do another movie with him. But there have been rumors both ways. But some of the rumors are that Blake Lively is a freaking diva to work with, and I don't know if that's true, but it could be. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. The PR war is very funny to me. JC, I have no idea what the Ryan Reynolds thing is about. I keep seeing posts about it. I can't bring myself to care. Well, long story short, Blake Lively was in a movie with Baldani. She claims he sexually I don't know if she said sexual assault, but that he got handsy with her, let's say, on the set, and then he shot back that's not true, and they've just been back and forth ever since. Ryan Reynolds has been dragged into it because it's his wife, and they apparently made fun of him in Deadpool because Baldani is said to be mocked as Nicepool, that the character of Nicepool was Baldani. But I don't think that's illegal in any way, so I'm not sure why Baldani could even sue. I guess you can get a lawyer to sue over anything, but I don't think he has a chance in hell of successfully suing for some kind of defamation over a parody character in a wacky comedy movie. But he might not be looking for an actual he might just be looking for some sort of settlement. It might just be the sort of thing like, well, you came after me for the Colleen Hoover thing and you kind of ruined it, so now I'm going to come after you for some money, and they're just going to end up negotiating a deal because Baldani's not nearly well known in my view, so his reputation is not getting tarnished. Ryan Reynolds is the A-lister, right? He's big. So this keeps dragging on. It's not going to look good for him in the long run, I think. It may start to hurt his image of being like a funny, happy-go-lucky guy, right? And that the studio wouldn't like either. So at some point, the studio might say to Ryan Reynolds, hey, just settle this thing already. LeMay, I sent it. Did you send it on Twitter or just send it here? If you send it here, I can make you a mod so you can send it to me. Just send it on Twitter. Oh, did you send me an email? You have my email. JC, satire is protected, especially if it's so obscure a parody of a person. Yeah, I mean, it's totally protected, but he may not expect to win. He's just maybe trying to tarnish him so badly. He just goes, okay, what do you want? And then he settles with them for whatever, just to make him stop. I emailed you. Oh, thank you, LeMay. I'll check that out later. Ardent, LOL, I'm just scrolling through the red carpet Grammy looks article from the New York Times, and the only act I know is Judas Priest, and they look badass. They always look badass. They always had like denim and chains and stuff like that. That's funny. Did they have an album? They must have had an album out. In music, this is listed as music. Protest against Trump's deportation policies blocks traffic in downtown LA ahead of Grammys. Oh, okay. That's why it's connected to music. Any excuse to cover Trump, right, Variety? So I guess there was some sort of protest. This is stupid, right? I mean, you're in this country illegally, I assume, and you're going to protest the deportation, which apparently a lot of illegal aliens are doing. Like, we don't want to be kicked out of your country, or we're going to protest. Oh, good, we can fine you. Like, what are you doing? That's the absolute wrong approach. Oh, don't kick us out of the country or we'll get mad. Really? Gee, you just gave us another reason to kick you out of the country. Well, we're gonna even madder. We'll burn American flags. Apparently, a bunch of them burned American flags. I don't know how real that is, but you should calm the f down. Is what you should do. A peaceful protest would be nice. I mean, it doesn't look that unruly, although the dude's standing on top of a car holding a Mexican flag. That doesn't scream to me, we want to talk to you sensibly about this. It screams like, we want to turn this place into Mexico. And no would be the answer to that. So, Ardent. Yeah, a lot of the old 80s rockers are still making music. Winger had a good song not too long ago. Proud Desperado came out about the time Jason Aldean made waves with Try That in a Small Town. JC, looked up Jaden at the Grammys. Looks like such a fool, right? Let me see if I can find the picture. Hold on, he was just on here. Jaden Smith. He looks so stupid. Here he is. What is he wearing? Why did he bother to wear the suit? Like, why? Why not just... He could have just worn anything below. What is this? Ardent, at JEC. LOL, I believe the word you're looking for is dork. JC, if you want to move to a country, respect its laws. Why is this hard? LeMay, LOL. Ardent, yeah, dork. He doesn't even look like he wants to be wearing that. He looks like, oh man, I thought this would be funny, and no one's laughing. Ardent, LOL, he went as Castle Grayskull. I guess. I don't know what it is. I was trying to figure it out. I thought, well, is it like Beetlejuice's house? Is that what it is? But then I was like, that's not the Grammys. That would be like the Oscars. But like, Beetlejuice 2 isn't getting an Oscar. So, I don't know. John Adams, better than Kanye. Well, you got me there. JC, imagine having to sit behind him in the audience with that thing on. Excuse me. Jaden, your house is blocking my view. You can't talk to me that way. I'm Drake. John Adams, looks like he lost a bet. Yeah, maybe his fantasy football league was at the bottom. Ardent, nah, it's some avant-garde fashion designer's wet dream sculpture. It's just stupid. It's what it is. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Here's Kanye. Yeah, Kanye looks relatively normal. Wife Bianca Sensori shocks with nude outfit reveal. Was she naked? Oh, wow. Nude outfit. Is that technically an outfit? She just looks like she's naked. I don't know. He just makes his wife do the weirdest thing, doesn't he? He's just made her dress up in crazy ways for like, I don't know how long. He's a nut. Speaking of avant-garde. Ardent, yeah, she showed up in a fur coat and dropped it. Okay. Great. Can we finally stop with the weird clothes? Lady Gaga? Can you finally just give it up or just show up naked to things now? Because I think this is it. This is like peak, haha, everybody look at me. Oh, here's the red carpet of rivals. I don't know if we want to see this. Is this a video? I'm going to have to click off if it's a video. Okay, here we go. Who's that? I don't even know who that is. Kind of looks like Cyndi Lauper. Oh, Chappelle Rowan. I didn't see the name there. It's over the right-hand corner, underneath where my head is. Billie Eilish, looking like a lesbian. JC, she does have great boobs. Yeah, Kanye knows his boobs. I'll give him that. Ardent, I doubt he made her do that. At JC, believe the word you're looking for is stacked. Ardent, do you want the New York Times archive link? Yeah, I got it here. These are probably the same pictures. JC, she got her outfit from the Emperor. Ardent, that Cyndi Lauper looking one is Chappelle Rowan. Yeah. John Adams, don't play the Kanye one. She's basically nude. That's Sabrina Carpenter. She looks all right. Taylor Swift. Looks fine, I guess. Charlie XCX. I don't understand that name or what her deal is. There's Jaden. Claro. I don't know who that is. I don't know any of these people. Oh, Olivia Rodrigo, I know. She's kind of a smoke show. Alex Ogle, evening degenerates from newly expensive Canada. With Hollywood unable to make any good movies in the sci-fi comic genres, I recommend we have a go at proper adaptation of Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. The Charlton Heston and Mega Man film was a bit crap. The Will Smith version was a loose bowel movement, and even Vincent Price's The Last Man on Earth didn't do justice to the novel. I suggest we cast Sydney Sweeney in a bikini as the vampire zombie woman sent to infiltrate the last man's house. I like it. Have a draft on my desk by Tuesday. Ardent, Sabrina Carpenter was probably the most attractive old school glamour. JC, Chapel Rowan, they keep trying to make happen. Her music is like 70% of the way to being okay, but not quite there. Ardent at Alex, hello, fellow prisoner of the Gulag. Zevix Demise is here. Good evening, everyone. Sam Rogers is here. Hello, everyone. Oh, the door must have just opened or something. Alex at Zevix says hello to Sam. So yeah, Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah. Sierra Farrell. Don't know her. There's Kanye before the drop with his hot wife. Gracie Abrams. Looking like, I don't know, one of the Star Wars princesses or something. Alex says, evening, comrade, to Ardent. Peso Pluma? Peso. Weird. Oh, here it is. Willow Smith. Look at her. She's practically naked, too. She probably thought this was outrageous until Kanye's wife showed up. Like, you're in your underwear. What are you doing? Poppy. Don't know who that is. Green Day. Oh, God. I'm so sorry I ever listened to these guys now. I'm embarrassed. Ardent, Princess Leia meets Wednesday Addams? Maybe. These guys are embarrassing now, I think. They used to be cool, you know, in a sort of hot topic punk way, but now, guys, please, I don't know, act your age. I mean, could you do that at least? Saint Vincent. Don't know who that is. She's kind of cute. Kalani. No idea. David Guetta? Casey Musgraves. Vaguely familiar name. Sheryl Crow. I know Sheryl Crow. She looks all right. She's in my age range, so I can say that. Zebix the Minds. Green Day was never cool. Sam Rogers. Are Green Day woke? Yeah, kind of now. They definitely have TDS. Oh, they vowed to move out of the United States, the whole deal. JC, Green Day have like 3 good albums. Problem is they have like 26 albums and they're pushing 60. The one cool thing I'll give Green Day is this. I went to see Green Day in concert way back in the day. This is in the 90s. And they would, because their songs are so simple, they would replace the band with people in the audience, kids in the audience. And it was kind of a cool move. It was kind of fun to watch. Ardent, David Guetta is a DJ, had a few hits in the mid-2000s. Alex, I can't stand what Americans call punk. You live far too comfortable lives to make punk music. Green Day was always rich kids playing, LARPing at being dissatisfied. Well, we like punk. I like punk. I love the Sex Pistols. JC, Green Day is great in concert. They were great when I saw them. They were really good. I saw them in Asbury Park. Ardent, LOL, YouTube filtered my message that said Green Day S the F up and F the F off. It's weird. YouTube is censoring such language. It doesn't censor the language on Sticks and Hammers show. Carter Chain, Tony trying to pronounce David Guetta. LOL. Is it Guta? John Adams, traditionally punk rock gets better during Republican administrations. Let us see if the trend holds. No, I would say that punk rock would be better during times when it is a more totalitarian system. And when the punks actually understand what totalitarianism is. Ardent, it was the STFU acronym, I think. Who's this? Jacob Collier? I don't know who he is. Ray, don't know her. Teddy Swims. I've actually heard of this guy because my girlfriend played his music once. He was alright, I guess. You know what I started to listen to, if you want to know how old I am? I recently rediscovered Brownsville Station. And this is a 70s band. Let me see if I still have it up. I think I do. No. Oh, wait. This is like... Yeah, I've been listening to this song. This is Kings of the Party. I wish I could play it for you. It's the funniest damn song. And this is the one of their album covers. These were the guys in the band. This was like cool. These guys thought they were cool in the 70s. And like, they don't have abs. They look fat. They have long hair. They have nerd glasses. Brownsville Station, school punks. You gotta listen to this song. It's the funniest damn song, I think. The chorus. It's very repetitive. I'll warn you in advance. And there's a big long wind up. You might want to skip a minute in, but it's funny as hell to me. That's the kind of music I'm listening to while I'm looking at the Grammys. I'm listening to I've rediscovered Brownsville Station. What did I skip? JC, Dookie is a great album. Nimrod is really good. American Idiot was good at the time. I mostly agree with you, I have to say. But now, I don't think the music holds up. Now I'm embarrassed to listen to it, and I just don't listen to Green Day anymore. I really did like American Idiot, even though, you know, once I discovered kind of what it was about, I was kind of like, whatever. Ardent, this time I expect country will be the better genre. Maybe. Sam Rogers, I've been listening to the Pixies. Their music is weird. I must like them because I keep listening to them. They're pretty good. You should also listen to Frank Black's solo album. It's pretty good. Los Angeles is a good single. JC, punk is good when housing is affordable for bums just to hang around and play songs and still live indoors. Sam Rogers, don't tell me Pixies at work now. I think you mean don't tell me Pixies are woke now. They're not woke as far as I know. Zebek's Demise. Jacob Collier is great. I'll take your word for it. Alex Ogle, what are your predictions for the halftime adverts and live show at the Super Bowl next weekend? Any rumors doing the rounds? Not yet that I'm aware of. It just looks like the same old BS. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan are reenacting When Harry Met Sally scene for Hellman's commercial that's already playing all over the internet. I mean, a lot of it's just, it's already, there's no surprises. I'll have my face stuck in a bowl of dip, I'm sure, eating all kinds of great food. That's my plan for Super Bowl. Ardent, Smoking in the Boys' Room. Yep, that's their big hit. But Kings of the Party is not to be missed. Sam Rogers woke. Okay, yeah. Jay, they're not woke. Not the as far as I know, they're not woke. The Pixies. JC. They thought they looked good in that picture they commissioned and turned it into a painting. I know, right? It's hilarious. It's hilarious to me they looked at that and said, "Yeah, we look cool," and they don't care. You listen to that song, you tell me if they give a crap that their album cover looks the way they look. Alex Ogle at JEC, there's only one Nimrod, and that's by Elgar. Ardent, Punk, Flogging Molly, Black Flag. I do like Black Flag, some of the songs, and Dropkick Murphys. Ardent, and of course, the Sex Pistols. Yeah, so Teddy Swims, is alright, I guess. Rhapsody, never heard of her. Phineas, never heard of him. Charlotte Lawrence, never heard of her. Gianna Craig, never heard of her. Alicia Gaddis, never heard of her. Chrissy Teigen, is that what she does? She sings? Because she's annoying. I know her as John Legend's annoying wife. John Legend, also annoying. Mustard. It just ran out of names. What are you going to call yourself? I don't know. Let me look in the fridge here. Just call me Mustard. Mustard? Yeah. I can't think of any cool names like MC Dope or anything like that. Just call me Mustard. Storebang at Ardent. So Justin Bieber isn't punk enough? JC, Clash, Misfits, Dead Kennedys. Oh, I like all those guys. JC, Kennedys. Ardent at Storebang. LOL, no, but he does have one song I like, Love Yourself. John Adams. Was that lady wearing the red carpet? I think so. JC, Teigen is married to a singer. Ardent. Mustard. Where's ketchup and relish? I know, right? Ty Dollar Sign. Cardi B. She I know, because she's extra annoying. Alex Ogle at Ardent. X-Ray Specs. The Clash. The Jam. How about the Germs for a deep cut? Storebang. Mojo Nixon. Ooh, I like Mojo. He's fun. He died. He's dead now. Madison Beer. You should have like a cooler look if you're going to call yourself Madison Beer. You should be like, yeah, party. Madison Beer. Ardent. I know the Clash and the Cure, though they were new wave. Yeah. The Cure was. I think the Clash is still considered punk. Maybe it sort of bridges it. How about the Dead Milkmen? Remember them? They were based out of Philly. Nikki Glazier. She normally looks pretty hot, but that is a fugly looking outfit. What the hell? What's wrong with her face? Her face looks weird too. I don't like that look, Nikki. Ardent. Mark's safe from having heard WAP for 3 years plus. Storebang. The Dead Milkmen. Yes. Local heroes. Will Smith is there. Well, I guess all his kids are there. You might as well go. Miley Cyrus also looks weird. Body is banging, but her face looks odd. JC, Clash is punk, Cure is new wave. Zebek's Demise. If you don't have Mojo Nixon, then your store can use some fun. Or if you don't have Mojo Nixon, then your store can use some fixin'. Ha. Coco Jones. Lady Gaga? That doesn't even look like her, but I guess it's her. In a wig and a dress. JC, The Damned, Ramones, and Richard Hell? I've heard of The Damned. I've, of course, heard of the Ramones. I like the Ramones a lot. Jack Antonoff and Margaret Qualley. Does she sing too? And what happened to her boobs? She had big boobs in the Substance movie. Where are your boobs, Margaret? Shabuzi? And Jay Balvin. Ardent. Oh my god, that's Miley Cyrus? Did she have that bouquet fat thing? I don't know. You mean like Botox or something? I don't know what she had. She looks weird though. She looks weird. All right, enough of this Grammy nonsense. Alex Ogle, is this the lineup to an award ceremony or the dress rehearsal for the next Hunger Games movie? Yeah, right? I always think of the Hunger Games when I see a weird outfit, and it's like, yeah, Hunger Games called that. Chris Evans, Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, and Anya Taylor-Joy celebrity photos. Just random celebrity photos variety? Seems low effort. Survivor 48 includes a surgeon, a stunt performer, and a fire lieutenant. Meet the castaways. No, thank you. No, thank you much. Sam Rogers, I barely know any of these celebrities. Yeah, me, I'm with you. Ardent, sounds like Bucky. They have fat under their cheekbones removed, makes them look corpse-like to me. Ew. Gross. No, thank you. Celebrities who have died in 2025. It's February. Calm the F down, Variety. You're probably going to ignore all these people in the Oscars anyway, like you always do. Something about MLK. I don't know why that's in Variety today. Oh, I guess it's... Oh, right. It's Black History Month. That's why. All right, moving on. Fandom Pulse. Fan favorite Star Trek TOS novel writer Greg Cox returns in November with Identity Theft. Well, finally, Star Trek fans can get their cocks. Ardent. Anna Taylor-Joy is up for Bambi's mother in the live-action remake. Her eyes are so far apart. They are. I just watched her in The Menu, though. She was pretty good in that. But, yeah, she's an odd-looking chick. Alex, she should join the Royal Artillery as a spotter. Dragon Age not dead. Oh, let's click on this. This is the headlines over at Fandom Pulse. Oh, let's see. Did I pass one? No. Elite Sci-Fi Writers Workshop that once had George R.R. Martin and Neil Gaiman teaching will pay your way if you say you're transgender. So heads up, sci-fi writers. Alex Ogle, she should join the... Oh, I read that one. Ardent, LOL. Flashgit stands firm, refusing to sell Space King to an unnamed network. Good for you guys. I hope it works out for him because I really do love Space King. If you haven't seen Space King, you should watch it. It's pretty funny. And to that I say, all hail Space King. Comics writers Gail Simone and Jim Zub virtue signal against Donald Trump's questioning of right. Because you know who has a really great grasp of economics more than anybody else in our country? Comic book writers. You can tell by the way they're always broke. Ardent, awesome. I'll go to that workshop. Let me grab my torch and pick for it. Yeah, I don't know why Gail Simone... I don't even know who Jim Zub is, I don't think. But Gail Simone, I sort of know. I mean, she did one good run on Catwoman. And I think she really let it go to her head, in my opinion. So I don't know. She won't shut up. So I guess keep talking until comics is finally destroyed, Gail. Um, I just wish somebody with real money would come along and build an actual comic book company, because, you know, as much as I think the Ripperverse is trying, I don't think it's really going to work. I don't think they have quite enough money, and I don't think any of their properties really zing. As much as I like Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron, I think they're both very good, and I think their comics are okay. Um, but I don't think any of the current properties at Ripperverse are going to be the ones that hit. They need a hit. They need a mega hit, like a hit that people go bananas over. So, John Adams, did y'all cover this Astartes 2 trailer? I did not. Is that something I should be covering? Alex, I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Will they cover my expenses? Apparently. Ardent at John Adams. Astartes 2 from the same guys? Alex Ogle at John Adams. Superb trailer. Really got me excited. JC, I mean, selling you things when your dollar exchange rate is lower than yours is a subsidy? What? Look, the one thing that everybody on the left seems to have in common is they absolutely cannot understand economics. And when I say they cannot understand them, most people I know that have a limited understanding of economics and the impacts that government has on them eventually leave the left side of politics. They just naturally leave it because when they see the math, they realize, oh, yeah, that's stupid. We shouldn't put all those regulations and rules. It doesn't work. It ruins the free market, and this is why there's all sorts of problems. So, Sam Rogers, Ripperverse, I don't really like the name. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, the name of the company isn't as important as a hit. And he just doesn't have a hit yet. So, like, yeah, it's just not great hits yet. John Adams at Ardent. Supposedly, yep, the same guy, but some people think it's old clips. John Adams, but under the official Warhammer account now. Ardent at Sam Rogers. It's from his YouTube nickname, Young Ripperverse. Ardent, brand recognition at John Adams. Already have it queued up after this. I'll review it tomorrow, says Ardent. Yeah, I'll have to take a look. Original D&D designer Robert J. Kuntz. Blast Wizards of the Coast for mishandling of orcs in New Monster Manual 2024 edition. In case you haven't heard, the mishandling of orcs is there are no orcs in the Monster Manual edition because some woketards in the D&D community now keep equating half orcs to black people for some insane reason. I don't know why. It makes zero sense. Like, there's no precedent for it whatsoever. Like, none. I don't know how it got started, but they kept pressing this. And to some extent, I can't blame Hasbro for just saying, yeah, just cut orcs right out of it. But they also cut half-elves and there's something else they cut out of D&D too. Oh, they changed the Lich description because they're worried about some of it offending Jewish people for some odd reason, and I can't. And look, I played D&D for a long time. I can't think of a single thing related to Jewish people in the Monster Manual, much less in the description of the Lich. But I don't know. They must be making some weird connection that I'd have to dig deep to also make. I actually rewrote all 1,600 monsters in Dungeons and Dragons, official Dungeons and Dragons, for the official Hackmaster game. Hackmaster was a re-release of first and second edition D&D under Kenzer, when Kenzer and Co. did Knights at the Dinner Table magazine, and they did a comic called Knights at the Dinner Table where the characters they basically play Dungeons and Dragons, but they didn't want to call it Dungeons and Dragons in the comic, so they call it Hackmaster. And so they make various jokes during the course of the comic about Dungeons and Dragons. And they took those jokes, sort of processed them, and put them in their game. So you could play the game like the characters, because the comic is so popular amongst the D&D crowd. And so my job was to rewrite the monsters. So some of them had the same names, but a lot of them had different names. And some of them had comedy bits that had to be incorporated into the monster descriptions, and others didn't. But so I actually rewrote all 1,600 monsters for Kenzer. And so I know the monsters quite well, and I have like 20 years experience as a DM. I can't for the life of me think of anything really remotely even religious in any of the game. They never mention religion. Unless it's like clerics, which were always pagan religions. I lost my place. Give me a sec. JEC, Ripaverse sounds like Rip-Off Verse. Bad name. Yeah, I kind of thought of that too, but I understand why he did it. The problem is not even that to me. The biggest problem is he's still following the paradigm of a superhero universe. And that's not what you should follow, in my view. He's still trying to make Marvel Comics and DC superhero comics work. And they can work up to a point. Some of them are even fun, but he should have gone completely away from superheroes. That would be my advice. If you were going to start a new universe of comics, first off, I wouldn't use the term universe at all. I would just get away from that. I would get away from all the superhero stuff. And I would create a world, let's say, where you had a bunch of interesting characters, but they would not necessarily be superheroes. And once you get out of that paradigm, you can start to do different things. So, you could do Western comics, and you could still do comics about heroes, and they do heroic things. But if you get away from superheroes, you get away from the tropes that make comics just so boring. Superhero costumes, certain superhero powers are boring. Capes, secret identities, all this BS. Get away from it. Get far away from it. And do a completely different paradigm. And then worry about integrating the characters later. I'll give you an example of my own. I do a webcomic called Super Frat. And it's a total parody of superheroes because it's a group of frat boys who get superpowers. They don't wear superhero costumes. They don't fight crime. In fact, they commit many crimes. And they don't care. They still act like frat boys. They just have superpowers. And that's the joke. And I can get away with a lot more for comedy, but there's a lot I can do with it. And I can make fun of superheroes if I want. I don't even do that half the time. There's just no reason to. Superheroes are so unimportant. So I think if I was going to give young Ripa any advice, it would be he really has to get away from superheroes. Like, far away. But it's kind of too late. He kind of dove into it. Sam Rogers, the name of the company is very important. This power in a name. I do agree that names are very important. Ardent, true. Norks. Alex, Ogle, they equate orcs and black people because everyone on the left is racist. That is very true, I would say. Sam Rogers, I'm aware of his YouTube channel, been watching him for years. Ardent, oh, it started as a thing where orcs, as always evil race, were somehow analogous to black folk, the Lich or the Golem. The Lich is the one they had to change for Jewish people. The Golem is from the Golem of Prague, that story. But they don't mention Jewish religion in the description of the Golem. They just have a clay golem. That's it. And then they have three other golems. They have so they have the clay golem, the flesh golem, which is like Frankenstein. Then they have a iron golem and a stone golem. Oh man, it's hard to beat an iron golem. Iron golems, you're going up against an iron golem, run. That's my advice. Just run. Unless you're like 10th level, get the F out. I had a character go up against a stone golem. He escaped with 1 hit point. Literally 1 hit point. I looked for secret passages, found it, got to the other side, and shut the door, and I ran the F out of that dungeon. Ardent at Alex Ogle. Bingo! Ardent, the problem with D&D is that they should have been gatekeeping to preserve Gary's legacy. I think it goes back further than that. The mistake they made, and I talked about this in my rant, which you can see on Rumble. I only put it on Rumble. When they put out Keep on the Borderlands, which was, I think, one of their first modules. I think there might have been 1 or 2 before that. But the early modules had orcs and kobolds in it. And they had children in that dungeon, right? So you go into the dungeon and you find the tribe, and there are males, females, and children. I don't know why they did that. I think the people who wrote the dungeon, I don't think it was Gary, but it might have been Gary. But it was a huge mistake because it got away from the fantasy of the game. And the fantasy of the game was orcs are not born, they're made, right? They're made out of elves, corrupted elves. Instead, they created this sort of different orc that was actually born. So you had this problem in the game, and this is very early on. We're talking 1977, 78 when I was playing. We talked about this problem back then. How is it ethical for a lawful good guy to go into a tribe of orcs, of women and children orcs, and kill them? And it never should have been an issue, because there never should have been women and children orcs. Or there never should have been children anyway. They should have all been adults. So, nobody in the game really had a response. They would just ignore it because they didn't want to deal with that stuff, I think, at the time. And so the response from a lot of DMs was just like, well, they're all evil, so you can kill them, it's fine. But some wouldn't say that way. Some felt bad for the imaginary orc children and would give you a hassle if you were a paladin. John Adams, wasn't there something about golems and Judaism being a controversy? Yeah, the golem is the Golem of Prague, which was a old Jewish story. But in Dungeons and Dragons, it was just called a clay golem. That was it. Sam Rogers. And what they changed was the Lich. They didn't change the golem. And there was something in the description was what I read. Sam Rogers, they have racist minds that make connections normal people would not make. That is why everything is racist. To them, yeah. I agree. JEC, I mean, Eric July just isn't very talented as a writer, and he uses cheap Brazilian artists so his books look cheap and lame. My feeling is this. I agree with you, Eric's not a good writer. I think he should not write the books. I don't think he has the chops. And if I was advising him, I'd say, Eric, let me pick the writers or let me write, because that's what I do. Um, the artist, to some extent, you're right, but it depends on what the price is and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to find good quality guys and not have to pay through the nose. Now that he has some money, maybe he can adjust that. I think he probably is trying to. Part of the problem is you can't pay enough for American artists. American artists are just, they're hard to come by because they want a lot of money, and I don't blame them. Life is expensive here. The overhead is expensive. It's a lot of work to do a comic book. I don't blame them for wanting more money. The fact of the matter is it's hard, because if I got to pay a guy, let's say I got to pay him $200 a page. Like my friend, when he drew Batman, he got $275 a page just for the pencils. But let's say you could find a guy for, say, $200 a page, pencils, ink, maybe even lettering and coloring. Number one, that's a lot of work. Number two, that's $200 a page. So you're talking just one issue is going to run you over $5,000. That's a lot of money to put out for a comic book that, what's it going to sell? Now, obviously, on the Kickstarter thing, you know the money ahead of time and you can work that out, but it's still a lot of money. It's still a lot more money to raise. I mean, he raised a lot of money. So now that he's raised that money, he can hopefully put more into the quality and the art and whatever. Will he do it? I don't know. But speaking as a writer who's hired an artist, my primary concern is always the story. And I get it. You're an artist, and your primary thing is the art. And without good art, people don't buy. But without good writing, people don't come back. And that's really the story of comic books. There have been plenty of guys who have great art, and people will buy their stuff for a while, and then they get tired of it. And then they're like, well, I already got book one. So it's a really tough balance. It's part of the reason I've mostly moved out of comics. I just can't make it work financially anymore. That's why I think you need, if you're going to do a comic book company like Image or something like that, you need a guy with real money. You need an investment of $50,000 to $100,000 in one title to really push it. If you're going to make comics great again, like as a regular monthly title kind of thing. Otherwise, Kickstarters are fine, graphic novels are fine, but that takes a longer time to build up. By the time you get a Kickstarter thing going, and then you raise the money, and you got some of the art, but you don't have all of the art. And then you raise the money, and then the artist has to draw it, and that takes another 2 months, 3 months, depending on how long the graphic novel is. Then you have to print that, and then and ship that stuff out. And it's probably another 2 months. You're looking at 6 months for a graphic novel, at minimum, probably closer to a year. That's a lot of time. People forget, and it's hard to build up an audience when you're only doing a book once a year. Now, a lot of these guys hit big with Kickstarters, and they got millions of dollars. Some of them have blown it. I think Eric's trying to build up a company, which is good. I think it can work, but again, I think he's stuck in the superhero paradigm. Losing my place again. Hold on. Ardent. Detective noir and super spy characters have the potential to be like superheroes without baggage paradigm. LOL, Superfat sounds like The Boys without the corporate aspect. That's basically what it was. And it was, the emphasis was on, it was Animal House meets the Justice League was the pitch. So, John Adams, the art looked pretty comparable to the other modern Western comics to me, but I admit that I'm way more familiar with manga than comics. Yeah, I didn't think it was that far off. Like, to me, it was tolerable. but the story wasn't there. If the story had been there, I would have ignored all that. Ardent, weird. Lich is also a Czech word. How to beat an iron golem. Trap rust monsters. We discussed that back in the day. The GM was unsure because they have magic protection, and then the rust monsters have to be alive. So I don't know. It was a tough call. Sam Rogers, in 40K, ever race is evil problem solved. Oh, in 40K, every race is evil problem solved. Yeah. Ardent at Sam Rogers, yeah, but humanity is still the good guys. Sam Rogers, just evil people fighting evil. Ardent, though I love the concept behind 40K orcs. Sam Rogers, you got redacted. I don't know why. Ardent, I know. Ardent, it's not. No, it's cool. LOL, still cool. LeMay, thanks to their decision, we now have fantasy romance book novels about a lady starting a coffee shop with an orc because the orc was racially discriminated against. Oh my god. God. I'd like to slap the people who came up with that, who approved that in corporate. Oh, we'll have fantasy novels and romance between an orc and a woman who opens a coffee shop. Wouldn't that be nice? JC. He made $3 million on his first book. He should have invested in the best artist he could find for the second book. Eric bought a warehouse and gave all his friends jobs. He could have got a good artist. That is true. I don't know if it would have brought him the money. And look, again, when you're coming up and you're depending on artists and they're your friends, you're going to say, no, I got to promote this guy. He was the guy who was there for me when I needed him. He was the guy who took the low amount of money so I could get the book done. So he may have loyalty to his Brazilian artist. John Adams, the guy doing Project Noasis Comics is pretty good about getting the comic basically done before starting the fundraising. And that's good too. You know, the paradigm is different in that business-wise, now, if you're a one-stop shop, if you're an artist, writer, creator, it works out good for you because you're going to make the comic anyway. You make it in your spare time. You put it up on Kickstarter. You know, you have it. It hits. If you can hit like Rippaverse, like Ethan Van Sciver did, and you don't invest in a warehouse, you're usually better off. Now, some guys, they have so much product, they kind of need storage space, but I would say if you want to invest in anything, invest in a house. And then have a basement and put your crap in the basement and mail it out of your house. I can't tell this story, but I'll say I know of a group of guys who had a really great business in the comic book area, and they're awesome guys, and I like them. However, they made the fatal mistake of buying a building because they thought, I think, that their business would keep expanding and expanding, and then the market turned and they had to downsize. I don't know the current financial situation, but having the building didn't help them. It hurt them. So whenever you can, you got to work out of your house. You know, when you're making millions of dollars, maybe you get some amount of office space, but you know, it's not unlimited. When you're doing Kickstarter stuff, yeah, he got $3 million. Okay, but that wasn't all profit. At least half of that had to go with printing the books and shipping the books he had already sold and all the merchandise. And he had to get all that crap out. Now, when I did a Kickstarter, we figured it out in such a way that I screwed it up on the shipping, but events of something happened that it turned out okay, and we ended up making a little bit of money. So, and we had a bunch of stock left over, some of which I still have and still sell today. And that's all paid for, and it's 100% profit when I sell it. So, ka-ching. And we divvied that up between me and the other creators, and they go sell their stuff, and I don't know what happened to their stuff, but my stuff I sell. And mostly it's gone. So, you know, it's good to have stock, but, you know, that $3 million, really? He's got to pay, you know, you figure he lost half just, you know, shipping out stuff and printing it, and the stock he has left over. Then he had to pay taxes on the money he did make, which was probably close to probably $1 million, let's say. That's a high tax bracket. He probably lost another $700,000 there. So he probably got about $500,000 to play with, where he bought or rented a warehouse and invested in some other stuff. So he probably doesn't have that much left over, but some. If you can keep the ball in the air long enough, if Ripaverse can keep the ball in the air, he can make it work. I don't know if he can with the product he has. He instantly hired better writers, I'll tell you that. He hired Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron, and that was a good move. Maybe he needs to hire better artists too, but I think he's trying. I think some of the artists are good. I don't know. I think just the properties haven't really hit yet. And he doesn't really have a mechanism to get them into everybody's hands. So maybe what he should do, I know we keep talking about, this is like the 4th or 5th time we've talked about Ripaverse. Maybe what he should do is he should do a Ripaverse comic, one-shot comic to go through Diamond, even if he loses money, just to get it out in the comic book stores, to get the comic fans on it. JC, Eric's warehouse rent is like $14,000 a month from what I've heard. That's a pretty big nut. Yeah, that's no bueno if that's true, because he'll probably be out of business in 2 years. But if the money keeps coming in, if his other projects do, they don't have to do as well, but if they do reasonably well, and he, now let's say that's true, $114,000 a month just for the warehouse, and I don't know what he's paying his staff. Let's say, I don't know, that's another $16,000. So let's say it's $30,000 a month to keep things floating in the Ripaverse. So he needs, let's see, 30K times 12 would be 360K. Am I doing that right? Yeah, 360K. So let's say his overhead for a year is 360K. Now he's got enough operating expenses, I think. He'd probably run for a good 2 years. But he's got money coming in. So if he could keep that money coming in and more, he's good. I don't know. I don't know if the numbers work out. He may have other revenue. He's a YouTuber, so he's got revenue from that. I'm not sure. But we'll see. Maybe he's got a TV deal going on. I don't know. JC, I think Eric's payroll is like $300K a quarter, he said, or something crazy like that. $300K a quarter? That's a lot of money. That's about what I'm saying, though. $300K a quarter. Let's see. That would be 3 months. For yeah, that would be a triple of what I'm saying. So $300K a quarter. That would be big. All right, I have to hit the bathroom. Hold on. Sorry, Joan. You know your job. Entertain, Joan. Entertain. Oh, man. much. Thank you, Joan. Thank you. Oh, man. Once again, you upstaged me, Joan. Ardent, quick, tell dirty jokes while he's gone. Ardent, wow, Joan could do cartwheels. Alex, finally, the real show could start. Zevic's demise. Joan, you can't say that. Ardent, Joan, there's still people, you monster. Joan, what the hell have you been saying? Anyhow, Zevic's demise. Are you trying to get Tony banned, Joan? Yeah, probably. But getting back to what we were talking about, D&D. If you want to see my rant on D&D, it's over at Rumble. And, yeah, 5th edition sounds like a woke mess. But the good news is you don't need 5th edition. I highly recommend 3rd edition. I think 3rd edition is probably peak D&D. I don't think there were many improvements in the 4th edition. I think that's when it started to get really woke. So I'm sure that's all over the internet somewhere in pay or free PDF form. Back in the day, me and my friends would buy a game. I remember my friend bought Gamma World, and I was a huge fan of Gamma World for RPGers. And I just borrowed the game and had my dad Xerox it at work. And then I had a copy of it, and we just would Xerox games for each other. We had Boot Hill and all the classics. GURPS, yeah, that was another one. Zevic's demise, I like GURPS myself. Ardent, I didn't care for some of the changes in 3.5, let alone 4. The thing for me, though, is I would just take what I liked and use that. So, because I DM'd for a long time. So I took 3rd edition. I used the skill system and the feat system, which I did like. And then I had an energy point system, which I got out of a White Dwarf magazine for spells. So for those of you who play D&D, the system goes like this. You take your Constitution and your Wisdom for clerics and druids, Intelligence for illusionists and magic users, and you add that to your Constitution. You divide, you then multiply it by half your level. You get an average of that, and you divide by half your level. So, for instance, if you're a 1st level magic user, let's say, you have an 18 intelligence and a 10 constitution, you would add those together and you would average out to 14, and then you would multiply it by half your level, and then you would get 7, and you would have 7 energy points. And then you would spend the energy points like this. A 1st level spell costs 1 point. A 2nd level spell costs 4 points. You square the level of the spell. So 1st level spells cost 1. 4th level spells cost 4. 3rd level spells cost 9, etc. And then when you get up there, you can start burning lots of points. But what it allows you to do is it gives a 1st level spellcaster some juice, so he can cast 7 spells at least a bunch of times. And so that was a good system. I used it all the time, and I got that out of White Dwarf magazine. And so my system, or my D&D group, had sort of a custom way, and everybody makes their own custom rules according to their players and characters. So Zebek's Demise. My favorite game is still Paranoia. That was a classic. We never could figure it out. I think somebody got a copy of it. We tried to play it one time, but we couldn't figure it out. LeMay, can orcs do magic now? Yeah, they always sort of could. You had orc shamans. You had half-orc priest. But now that you can do anything you want in the new edition. That's their liberation. You can be anything, but like that's what we used to do in our games. If somebody really wanted to play an orc, we would just break the rules and say, okay, your orc's different, and he can do magic or whatever. He just looks different than everybody else, and everybody hates him. You could do whatever you want in the game. We had guys. I played back in the day. I wanted to play a Minotaur, and one of the GMs let me play a Minotaur, and I played a Minotaur because I thought it was fun. Ardent at LeMay, reminding me that second edition Ogre Magi existed. The horror. Ogre Magi's were badass, but you couldn't play one in my day. But again, if you wanted to break the rules for your players, it kind of depended on your player, right? If you had a player who was willing to take on some guardrails regarding his character, you could let him play whatever you want. You know? Who cares? As long as you're having fun and you're not in competition. See, the players and the GM shouldn't be in competition, but they often are. And that's a bad idea. Because you got power-hungry GMs that just kill players for no reasons. And then you got players who just drag the game to a standstill because he's like, oh, that's not in the rules. So you got to work together to have a good time. Zebek's Demise. The rule books never said you couldn't be what you wanted. They usually encouraged it. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said in a previous, I think I said last week, my friend made Planet of the Apes dungeon. It was one of the best dungeons ever. We got machine guns. We were running around the dungeon machine gunning things. It was awesome. We were fighting the apes. Oh my God. It was chaos. You know, I made my dungeons, a lot of them had movie themes. So I had a dungeon that was like every level was a different genre of movies. And then all the rooms were connected to different movies. So all the monsters would be movies. And one of the best times we had is when the characters got down to the sci-fi level, which was like a high level in the dungeon. You know, everybody was at that point above 8th and 9th level. And they ran into the Terminator. And they knew what it was, of course. And they were fighting it and running at the same time. It was a good time. Ardent. Normie D&D isn't a competition. Me, D&D is a competition. First one to get the DM to swear wins. Yeah, we ain't getting the last slice of pizza at my table. You may not get any pizza. LeMay, I only played D&D once. I was halfling druid that rode a werebat. Interesting. I had so many characters over the years. All my characters if you've ever read my fantasy comic, The Travelers, almost all the characters in The Travelers were my characters from D&D. Except the wizard. He was an NPC, but all the other characters were player characters that I ran. Ardent, I always brought the pizza. Yeah, I mean, D&D's fun, and that's what it should be. That Hasbro is trying to crunch all the numbers for all these genders. That I would, again, you know, this is why I don't work in corporate. I would go into the meeting and I'd be like, whose idea was it to entertain these blue-haired weirdos? Oh, sir, they buy a lot of D&D and books. Oh, really? Show me the stats on that, you moron. Oh, well, we don't have any direct evidence they buy anything, actually, but they do complain a lot on Twitter. You're fired. Zebek's Demise. I'm going to make my own pizza with blackjack and hookers. Ardent, LOL, black olives and bacon. Oh, that's even worse than pineapple. Ardent, nobody trigger Alex. But yeah, D&D, just like everything else, it's a big woke mess. The quickest way to end this, don't buy 5th edition. Let it die. Let it have the worst sales imaginable until Hasbro goes, hey, wait a minute, why is our division losing money? Up D&D. Who screwed up this IP? And then they'll fire everybody, and hopefully it'll go back to some semblance of normal. It'll never be normal again. They'll always have something in this book that'll be woke. I promise you. Their first move will be to split the baby in half. Okay, well, we won't have all woke stuff. We'll just have half of it now. We'll try to please everybody, and then they will please no one, and they'll lose even more money then. Then the meetings will be like, well, maybe D&D is over, and we should just abandon this IP altogether. And then they'll probably sell it to a company that'll actually use it. maybe we'll actually get a base D&D someday. I mean, there was a rumor that Elon was going to buy Hasbro, I think, or buy D&D. That would have been amazing. Ardent, what? Black olives and bacon? That's god tier pizza. Ugh. That is... I think I threw up a little just in here. Mostly for the black olives. The bacon I could tolerate. I like bacon. I do not like black olives anything. It's gross. It's gross. But moving on, Netflix announces Neil Gaiman's The Sandman is canceled, but pretends it was always intended to be a final season. Well, this was canceled the moment Neil Gaiman bent his knee to the woke idiots who decided to make, I don't know, Death is a black woman and he's not even wearing the makeup that make him look like Sandman. Ardent needs anchovies, though. What's wrong, Joan? I hear you crying over here. Are you mad? You got upstaged? Are you mad? There, I'll rub your tongue. So, yeah, Neil Gaiman finally imploded. Although it wasn't because he, in my view, sold out his own creation for a big paycheck. It just seems like he let his penis get him into problems. Although that hasn't been proven yet, so we don't know for sure, but sounds pretty bad if the reports are to be believed. Alex Ogle, I forwarded a video to a French friend of mine with an Italian wife of Do It Boomer Instagram eating an Australian pizza with all manner of toppings Tony would consider unnatural. Well, we've had some unnatural pizzas here in South Jersey. I can tell you that an unnatural pizza that I enjoyed was, or I ate a slice of it, was General Tso's pizza. Basically, all it was General Tso's chicken and broccoli on pizza. I think it had cheese on it, too. It was good. I'll give you that. Ardent, Alex Ogle, LOL drop bear meat and spider legs? I mean, they will literally put anything on a pizza. Anywhere. Zebek's Demise, penises causing problems for men as long as there have been men. Sam Rogers, what would be an Australian pizza? Shrimp on a Barbie would be my guess, along with some shark meat and kangaroo meat. And probably a vaccine in the crust. LeMay, I have not asked you this before, but how old is Joan? Little Joan is 10. Right, little Joan? She will be 11 in September. That's Joan's birthday in September. Yes, she is. Joan is doing really well. However, this winter, she was not good on the streets at all. And she still wants to go out, even though she walks in the cold and then her little feet get too numb. And she puts her paw up like, I can't walk anymore. Take me home. And I have to carry her all the way home. Right, Joan? So we're not doing that anymore. So we stayed in most of this winter. But now it's getting warm, so Joan doesn't have to worry. All right, Joan. Go relax. Sam Rogers, we call them prawn. Ardent, Vegemite, and Rue. John Adams, kangaroo isn't as tasty as you'd hope. Well, they weren't as cute as I hoped either. Alex Ogle, ooh, the ultimate travesty. Vegan pizza with pineapple, not even any cheese to ameliorate the horror. Or ham. I think it's supposed to be ham and pineapple, right? That's the Hawaiian pizza. Ugh. Ardent, at Alex, nightmare fuel for me, 2 words. Vegan cheese. I don't even know what that's made out of. Sounds gross. Vegan cheese. It's like, what is vegan cheese? A group of vegans sat around one day, or no, a group of vegetarians sat around one day and said, you know what? I'm not as special as the other vegetarians. I used to be the only vegetarian. Now everybody's vegetarian. How can I be more annoying and be superior to the other vegetarians? Oh, I know. I'll call myself vegan and I'll do even more ridiculous things not to eat and brag about it. LeMay, emu pizza. Can you eat emu? I don't even know if you can eat emu. I bet it tastes like chicken. Sam Rogers, pineapple pizza is good. How dare you? Ardent, yeah, Canadian bacon, which is just ham, and pineapple is Hawaiian. Sam Rogers, pineapple pizza emojis. No, thank you. No, thank you, sir. Good day, sir, to you and your pineapple pizza. Bayan Books author Larry Correia announces an ongoing or going fully independent in reaction to ARC Press news, while others circle the corporate wagons. So, for those of you who don't know, and maybe if you have a book in the works, you should know that ARC Press is starting up, and they are trying to turn things around with regard to book publishing and book audiences for men. So they are taking submissions now. So if you do have a book, go to the ARC Press Twitter page. That's ARKPRESS, as you would say it, ARC Press, and ask them for the link. They'll send you to the Discord, and you can download. I have their submissions guide. I can't send you to the Discord unless they invite you. So it's pretty easy. You have to follow their proposal guidelines. I may send in a proposal. I don't know when I would have time to write the book, but I might send in a proposal just for the hell of it, see what reaction I get, and kind of stay in their orbit for a while. But yeah, so if you have a book, especially if it appeals to men and is not woke, ARC Press is trying to be that sort of publisher. So I'm very excited to hear that. Ardent, at LeMay, I've had emu. It's not bad. A little gamier than chicken. Ew. Alex, at Sam, thanks. Another soundbite from Tony D I can misuse. How dare you, Alex. Zevix Demise, I've had emu. It tastes like beef, as I recall. Ooh. Ardent, Monster Hunter International is a great series. Ardent, ooh, I have a short story I could expand, I think. Sam Rogers, the Pineapple Crusade has begun. You will be made to like it. LeMay, at Ardent, they do look tasty. Ardent, at LeMay, they are not huggers, though. So Larry Correia is going to ARC. Yeah, more on this stupid video game. I don't know why anybody's even talking about it. Pop culture commentator John Campea defends Anthony Mackie, says Captain America has never represented America. Do we even want to bother to address this? It's so woke-tarded. I just... John Adams, Ostrich was pretty good. Speaking of other big birds. I want to say I've had ostrich many years ago. I think I did. Gosh. There was a burger place in North Jersey that bragged it had like every meat under the sun that you could have as a burger. And I did have some bizarre meat there, and I can't remember what kind. I want to say like elk, something like that. But yeah, and then down here, if you want bizarre meat in South Jersey, I gotta call them because March is coming up. Every March there's Gator Weekend at the One More Bar and Grill on 206 in Chemung. I gotta call them and see when Gator Weekend is. I gotta line that up. Ooh, good thing I remembered that. John Adams, ostrich was pretty good. Speaking of other big birds. Oh, I read that one. Ardent, I'm craving moose now. But yeah, I mean, this guy, like the whole Anthony Mackie saying Captain America doesn't represent America. I mean, it's just the most woke-tarded thing ever. I mean, that, good. I hope nobody sees this movie. and I hope they blame you, Mackie, because you walked right into it. In my view, I think the studio probably knows they got a stinker on their hand they can't fix, and spent $350 million trying to fix, and they're looking for any way to blame anyone but themselves, and they're gonna blame you, buddy. Oh, the problem is Anthony Mackie, the lead. He can't carry a movie. You watch. You watch them start blaming him. And then he's going to start to blame everybody else. Which, prior to his stupid statement, I would have defended him a little. But now I'm not going to defend him. Anthony Mackie should not have said this. He should have, if he was given that ridiculous line to say, he should have said, I'm not going to say this, or just do the event and then just forget to say it, or say it in a better way. Like, he could have said something like, oh yeah, Captain America represents a lot of people, not just America. And then he would have been fine. He could have said, well, I didn't say he didn't represent America. He represents good values, and that includes America and lots of other places. Like, he could have spun it like that, and he would have been fine. But Alex Ogle, elk and moose are too lean to have any flavor. Meats need to be fatty. To that end, may we eat woke tard? That's too fatty. You'll die. Plus all the antidepressants they take. Oh. Arden. Well, his Captain America doesn't. Yeah, it's just... Okay, and that's the end of that. I don't know why anybody would even bother to address this. Over at the Hollywood Reporter, Miles Teller opens up about the emotional loss of losing Pacific Palisades home in LA wildfires. He did lose his whole house. I don't know if that was his only one, though. He is Miles Teller. He's a very bankable star these days. He must be swimming in it. I assume he has another house, but he might not. I don't know. He's relatively new to Hollywood, so he might only had the one. Ardent at Alex. Moose here in Newfoundland have almost no predators. They get tasty fat. Jimmy Carter, the president, wins posthumous Grammy for audiobook narration, setting record for category. It's weird. Dave Chappelle wins third comedy album Grammy in a row. I guess. I mean, I don't know if he even considers it much of an award at this point. But good for you, I guess, Dave. He's funny. He's still very funny. Let's see. What else? Oh, Carla Sofia Gascon breaks down repeatedly an hour-long TV interview, I am not racist. So in case you missed this whole story, so Carla Sofia Gascon is the transgender actor in Emilia Perez. All right? So they're the lead, and Emilia Perez, about a transgender cartel guy who's running a cartel, or running a cartel, and decides to kidnap a lawyer, I guess, so they could get trans surgery and become a woman. And then they start helping people instead of hurting them, and that's supposed to make all their cartel activity fine, I guess. And it's a musical. So there's the viral scene that's playing, and JEC said this last week. It's her lawyer talking to the doctor at the hospital about the operation, I forget what country, out of the country, for the cartel. And they're singing about penis to vagina. It's the toughest, the effing thing you'll ever see. I highly recommend it. The cringe is off the charts. Ardent, of course it was Chappelle. No one else is funny and acceptable to Hollywood's / the industry. Zebek's demise. This sounds woke-tarded for sure. It's super woke-tarded. It's nominated for 13 Oscars. And as Neurotic pointed out, that's more than like every classic movie you could probably name. Like, that's more than The Godfather. It's more than like all, like more than Star Wars, more than like all the big movies you've ever heard of. But they got 13 nominations. So they're pushing this transgender lead hard in Hollywood, right? So then it comes out, I think about 2 days ago, that she's got a bunch of tweets out. Of course, they're tweets about George Floyd and something else, I forget. And so now they're calling her racist. And now she's on an apology tour. And at the same time, and Neurotic has a great video on this. It's all part of that same video he did. At the same time, not only is anybody with a lick of sense avoiding the movie, but the LGBTQIA2S++ community is also complaining that it's not a good representation of trans people. And so even the very audience that Hollywood supposedly thought they were aiming this movie towards doesn't want the movie. It hasn't made a lot of money. It's not even on the list. We didn't even see it on the list. Is it already out of theaters? So now she's on this apology tour to try to get this thing to win an Oscar. And who knows how many it's in the pipeline to win. Maybe now they're scrambling to undo whatever awards they were going to give it, but I don't know. Alex Ogle, much as I deride the trans stuff, worse is the media struggle sessions that humiliate those involved that I truly hate. Yeah. So imagine being in Hollywood and having to pretend you like this movie and how stunning and brave it is that they nominated a trans person. Because I can't see any other reason to nominate this movie. It looks like a parody of a movie. It's so bad. At least the clips I saw. It looks like the kind of movie you would have put in a comedy movie, you know, where a really crazy executive makes a movie and it's like, hey, I got some of the dailies. You want to see it? And the normal guy goes, yeah, let's see it. And they start playing it. And then you just see, like, the lights come back on and the guy's like, huh? And the protagonist is like, you idiot, you've bankrupted us. And then they have to change it from there. I mean, Springtime for Hitler was supposed to be a joke, right? So, and if you've never seen The Producers, that was the song in The Producers, Springtime for Hitler. So it's like, that's how crazy this scene is. Penis to vagina, vagina to penis. You gotta see it. It's an amazing scene in that it's amazingly bad. But they're serious. I mean, they're 100% serious with it. It's not like they're kidding around. It's not like they're doing a parody and then... No, they're 100% serious that this is a good thing. So, Zoe Saldana, I would never trust again in a movie after seeing this. Holy cow. That she's willing to do this movie and talk about it like it was a real deal. Same thing with Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. I would never cast them again. I would immediately cross them off my list of actresses I ever wanted to work with. Because when you're willing to go that far woke, you're pretty much willing to do anything. And you might say, well, that's a good thing, right? No, there's a limit. That means they're also willing to join your movie and sabotage it for the benefit of their own career. So no thank you, I would say. Ardent, Lord of the Rings or Dances with Wolves? Lord of the Rings. John Adams, I'm pretty sure only Titanic got more nominations at 14. You're probably right. And I don't think Titanic probably warrants that many. JEC, it's a Netflix movie. Oh, I thought it was going to be in theaters, though. I mean, if it's an Oscar, don't they have to put it in the theaters? I guess not. I guess not anymore. They changed the rules. Or maybe they released it for a week and I missed it. But, don't ask me to watch this. I ain't watching this movie. I can't sit through that. I already have to still sit through Megalopolis whenever I could see it for free. And that sounds bad enough. But this just sounds like a nightmare. It doesn't even sound like it's worth breaking down as a critique, because who the hell else is going to see it? Oh, My old boss, Bill Maher. Bill Maher pitches new Grammy category, best song that Trump got sued for playing at his rallies. That's kind of funny. JC, they show it in theaters for like 2 weeks in a handful of theaters and it qualifies. Oh, okay. Yeah, that must have been what they did. Okay. Moving on. Bounding in the comics. Remastered in 4K. Clive Barker's Hellraiser returns to theaters February 5th and 6th. Remastered? Hold on. You really need to waste the technology on this movie? I always thought this was a B movie at best. I mean, it probably makes a better novel than it does a movie. Because who wants to see all this Cenobites doing gross stuff? Not me. But, and I forget which Hellraiser it is, but one of the Hellraiser sequels was so bad. Whenever a movie's so bad that a director wants to take his name off of it, they call it, he changes their name to Alan Smithy. That's how you hide your name. And one of the Hellraiser sequels was directed by an Alan Smithy. So, Ardent, if you're going to remaster a Barker movie, do The Nightbreed. Yeah, I mean, what's remastered in this? Wow, you could really hear the screaming and see the blood. Like, it wasn't that good of a movie. I think I saw most of this movie. It's an okay concept. Never thought it was a great movie, though. But whatever. It is very iconic, I'll give you that. It is original. Oh, is this another Doctor Who headline? God, there was Doctor Who. No, this is something else. Something for the weebs. Amiko MD, Doctor Detective author, pushes back against critic who rallied against Mo art style used in anime adaptation collab with Red Cross. If more people donated blood because of this poster, more people will be saved, I guess. Now, there was another thing. There were more Doctor Who headlines this week, but I guess they got pushed off the front. Warner Brothers game service to end for crossover fight Multiverse. That sounds like it would have been a hit for them, but I guess it wasn't. But there was... What the hell happened for Doctor Who? Oh, I remember. So they hired a transgender writer who wrote a book called This Book is Gay. And then, you know, I mean, you could pretty much write the rest. It's just like more, hey, we're going to ruin Doctor Who even more. Like, Doctor Who is like the gayest thing ever. Doctor Who is now so gay, it's like off the charts gay. You couldn't even rank it in its gayness because it's just so gay now. But that wasn't good enough for the BBC. Like, they went out of their way to hire some semi-famous gay author just to write for the show. So it's like super ultra gay. It's like so gay. I'm waiting for it to go so gay it turns back into straight somehow. That's how gay it is. So if you're waiting for that to happen, if you're waiting for the Doctor Who series to come back, I say you're gonna have to wait for the UK to come back. And the UK's in rough shape. It's rough shape. I feel bad for all you guys out there who are in the UK or citizens of the UK. It's so rough right now. But again, it's always darkest before the dawn. Hopefully, something will break in the next few years, and you'll get your country back. It did for us. We suffered through 4 years, so. Ardent. Movie pitch. Sydney Sweeney in the classic boob window Power Girl outfit stars as Karen Starr, a grad student physicist who gains superpowers through a dimension-crossing experiment accident. I like it. Otherwise, she's just Power Girl without the Krypton connection. Look, sounds good. Oh, here's something to click on. The Terrifier, if you're like a Terrifier guy, Terrifier series star David Howard Thornton did a fan film called Joker's Wild, where he plays the Joker, which I think he would be good at, you know, because he's like a creepy clown guy. So if you're interested, they have a link, I believe, here on Bounding in the Comics, and I think they may have had one on Fandom Pulse, if I remember correctly. YouTube age restricted it, so it is bloody, I assume. So look, do a search for Joker's Wild and the name of the actor, David Howard Thornton, and you could see him play the Joker. That's him on the right there as the Joker. I didn't see it, but, you know, it might be cool. I think he kills Robin, or tortures him anyway. Deadline. Let's see what's going here. More on the Grammys. More on Jimmy Carter's win. Imagine the media is so desperate to give the Democrats a win, they give Jimmy Carter a Grammy, hoping that does something. Oh, we'll give him a Grammy. It'll do something. We have to do something. Trump is running away with it. Oh, Trump didn't win a Grammy. We won't give him one. Yeah, that'll show him. We'll give one to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. Even The Simpsons made fun of Jimmy Carter. Come on. Here's more on the trans actor. I have been crucified and stoned. So now I guess they're gonna play the victim card. Is that the deal? They're gonna apologize while at the same time playing victim. That's how they're gonna make it work when they hand Amelia Perez like 13 Oscars and then clap until their hands bleed. Oh, it's so stunning and brave. Oh, I'm in such pain, but I have to keep clapping. If I'm the first one to stop, I'm a bigot. What else? Ni Za 2 leads Chinese New Year's box office with 430 million 5-day launch. Detective Chinatown 1900 next at 251 million. IMAX enjoys best ever spring festival. The Chinese are trying to catch us on movies. I said it, that they're even talking about this. They're talking about it. They're coming for us. And with those kinds of numbers and money, well, they'll figure it out eventually. So far, their movies suck. Most of their movies have sucked. I don't like most of their movies. You know, Jackie Chan stuff is cool, but there's a couple of action movies, I'm sure, coming out of China that are awesome, but most of the other stuff hasn't been great, but they'll just make them for themselves and make a fortune. And whatever money they can get here, they'll try to get. But they'll cut us right out of the market there. We were the machine that made movies. Nobody else made movies. Now China's making big bunch of movies. If their industry keeps growing, it's just a matter of time before they start competing with us on the world stage. Now, we've already got competition in India and Nigeria, kind of, not really yet. They're getting better though. Europe is still trying to compete, but they can't. How much longer before they steal the spotlight from us and say Europe or something? It's another reason why we got to make some movies for the domestic audience, which would be comedies. Comedies are for a domestic audience, period. They don't translate well overseas. The comedy doesn't work 9 times out of 10. Once in a while it does, but more often it doesn't. Most of comedies are for a domestic audience. Everybody in the studios is chasing China dollars. They're chasing India dollars. For what? The Indians have been making movies forever. And, you know, it's like when Marvel Comics had the brilliant idea, oh, we're gonna market our Spider-Man comics in Japan and take that market. How did that work out? Let me tell you how it worked out. It worked out so poorly, they had to take whatever was left in Japan and bring it back to the States and try to sell it here. It was bad, my understanding. So, you know, you need a sensibility that works. Now, for movies that are foreign movies, I like them. I like to watch foreign movies, but part of it is the novelty of seeing a similar kind of movie in another, their different take on it. So I imagine it's similar to people over there. If you're immersed in, let's say, Bollywood cinema, you might want to check out an American film just to check it. Oh, this is different. Oh, they don't sing at the end. Oh, weird. But most stuff isn't going to translate depending on what it is. Some of the big blockbusters in America did, but that's because we were the only ones with the money. Look at some of the blockbusters coming out of India now. They got big budgets. When you're talking $430 million, that signals to me that the Chinese are figuring it out. They're going to have their own version of the MCU. Eventually. Something like that. Something that'll hit big. And they'll make 1 million sequels and it'll be a huge hit. And then they'll even release it over here because it'll be such a hit over there. They'll say, oh, let's release it in America. Let Americans see our big hit. And people will watch it here just to say, oh, I heard this was a big hit. Let me see what it's about. Whether we understand it or not. The South Koreans do great movies too. And they got a huge movie industry. So what are you doing, Hollywood? What are you doing? You're killing yourselves. You don't even have your own home audience anymore. You're not making any comedies. You're not making any movies that are distinctly American. You're bending over backwards for an audience you're losing. That you will lose. In another 10 years, will anybody in India be interested in seeing a movie in America? How many times can you see a big budget movie that panders? I mean, look at Marvel. The MCU had Ms. Marvel. Why? Well, I think it was to pander to the Indian audience to try to get them. Now, we have Indian people here. Sure, some of them wanted to see characters that are Indian in their movies, but you don't have to pander. You don't have to just make that a rule to put certain races in your damn movie. You make it organic. That's what pisses me off about The Simpsons getting rid of Apu. Because Apu was a very organic character. Yes, it wasn't voiced by an Indian actor. So what? Indians were relatively new when Apu was introduced as a character. And yes, he was a trope of Indian immigrants who came here. He ran a Quickie Mart and whatever. But so what? All the characters on The Simpsons were a trope. That's how they worked. They had the Italian guy who was in the mafia. The other Italian guy ran a pizza parlor. And a third Italian guy had an organ grinder monkey and a little crank. So, it was just a joke. But instead, now it's not good enough. And at the same time, they're trying to pander. And these leftards are terrible at pandering, as we've seen in D&D. They're racist. So they're even worse at pandering at the people who don't mean to be racist. It's just infuriating to me. Sorry, ranting. Alex Ogle, movie pitch, European holiday. Sydney Sweeney, in no bikini, sips a cup of coffee in Paris restaurant and sighs as a fat Frenchman pushes a sausage into a baguette and a dog takes a dump outside. It does sound very French. Ardent, that's what got me watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Buzz, and it was worth watching for me. Yeah, and I like that. And it's a very, it's very much a movie of its origin. It's not trying to pander to American audiences. Ardent, Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, was Muslim though. Would have had the exact opposite effect on Indian audiences. Well, there's Muslims there, but it was meant to be. See, this is what Hollywood does, though. They're trying to throw in everything to appeal to, this wide swath of Asian people or people in Asia. Well, let's make her Muslim, and we'll make her Indian, and we'll make her 10% Rastafarian. You know the bit from The Simpsons, and it didn't work. Didn't work at all. Ardent, Bart was the Dennis the Menace kid. Lisa was the straight A teacher's pet. Every Simpsons character was a caricature. Yeah. Homer was a goofy dad. Marge was the plucky young housewife who was the sensible one. John Adams, the British comedy TV show Keeping Up Appearances, also had an Indian guy running a quick shop. He was a cool character. Yeah, and that was a very British TV show. John Adams, from the early 90s. I never really saw it, but I remember the show. I think I've seen clips of it. Alex Ogle, the only good Chinese movies come out of Hong Kong. Kung Fu Hustle was a masterpiece. I love Kung Fu Hustle. And was that also Shaolin Soccer came out of that, I think? Or was that a different production company? I don't know. I did like Shaolin Soccer, though. All right. Rant over. All right, let's move on to Bleeding Fool. Diamond's Last Stand. April 1st could mark the end of comic distribution giant. So if you're still buying comics at the comic book store, well, Rippaverse might be the only thing left standing after April 1st. So good luck to you. Dark Horse cut Neil Gaiman. What else? Fallout grows from sexual abuse allegations against author Neil Gaiman. Yeah, he's done. They're going to cut him out of everything now. And he's probably going to get sued into oblivion, would be my guess. Ardent, my favorite British comedy show was Are You Being Served? And that was half cultural experience. I also vaguely remember that one too. JC, Ms. Marvel was Pakistani, not popular with Indians. Oh. Well, again... Alex Ogle, at Ardent. And you never got to see Mrs. Slocum's pussy. I'm not sure what that is in reference to. I think a cat, YouTube. Don't ban me, bro. Mike Drop or Mike Flop, Lady Gaga's election postmortem is laughable. I can believe that. It's probably the funniest thing she's ever said. The Rap. They have anything to say? Amy Schumer, New York Knicks dancers recreate train wreck finale 10 years later? Is that even worth creating? What the hell are they doing? JC, also making her Muslim means she can't have a love interest or you'll piss off actual Muslims. John Adams, I was incorrect. I was thinking of Still Game, early 2000s show, the character Navid. Oh. Ardent, LOL, no, never did, and yeah, it was a cat. A24 acquires Sundance Dramedy Sorry Baby for $8 million. Ah, congrats to the makers of that. Wonder what that's about. Writer-director Eva Victor stars as woman moving forward with her life after being sexually assaulted. Sounds sad. Doesn't sound like a dramedy, that's for sure. Jeez. Oh, all the headlines changed. Alex Ogle at John Adams. I thought you meant Still Game. Excellent Scottish comedy. Let's see. Anti-ICE protesters shut down LA 101 freeway over Trump's ordered deportations. And that's about it, really. I thought there was a headline about Trump, but I missed it. All right. Cosmic Book News. WrestleMania 2025 Royal Rumble. Results are in. If you care about that, I do not. Elliot Page is on Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And a bunch of people on Twitter are like, I'm out. And I can't blame them. I mean, who is Elliot going to play in The Odyssey? I don't even know. John Adams. Yeah, I mixed them up. Both are great British comedies. Fantastic Four trailer possibly dropping on February 4th on Good Morning America. I guess. This movie, yeah, I'm not interested in that at all. Peter Dinklage's Toxic Avenger gets theatrical release date. If you can imagine, they pulled this movie because I think it was testing that badly. I don't know. Maybe they reshot some stuff or re-edited. I don't see how you can even do this movie as anything good. I really don't. I mean, the whole joke in the Toxic Avenger was his voice. That was it. That was the joke. The joke was, I think they redubbed it. And, the guy who was the Toxic Avenger, who was like all messed up from toxic waste, had this amazingly deep voice. And that was hilarious. And for a trauma film, it was top tier. I don't know what they're doing with Dinklage in this. I just can't even imagine. Unless it's a completely different movie, maybe then it's something different. LeMay, Dinklage is such a snob. Yeah, is this a humiliation ritual for him, or like he seems like a guy who's like, oh no, I'm a little guy, so I'm gonna do only fancy films and elevate the level of little people in Hollywood. Which, okay, I can kind of be on board with that. But then you do Toxic Avenger, and I'm just like, so you're a whore. So you're still a whore like everybody else in Hollywood. Like, I don't see how you can elevate the Toxic Avenger to anything other than, this is stupid. And I don't see how Hollywood can recreate the magic, and I put that in quotes, of Trauma. A movie company that I heard shoots everything in one take and just slaps it all together because that's how they made money over the years. They just shot a bunch of crazy movies. And then one of them happened to be halfway decent, and that was the Toxic Avenger. It is kind of a funny movie. So I just don't get this at all. I don't know. It's just yet another IP Hollywood gobbled up, and good for Lloyd Kaufman for making some money, I guess. But I don't get it. Ardent, I wouldn't watch anything with Dinklage anyway. Self-important little ladder yanker. There's something coming up. Oh, American Dreamer's finally coming out. Which actually looks okay, but I don't know. This Elijah Wood is in this, and he looks funny in it, but I don't see how Dinklage could be the Toxic Avenger. I really don't. Unless, like, maybe he mutates, and then he gets, like, giant-sized, and then, like, it's still Dinklage's voice? Will that be the joke? Maybe? I don't know. I just don't see it being funny. But, whatever. James Gunn's Superman faces legal battle. Schuster estate sues the block release. Oh, no. Wow. Those guys aren't messing around. Well, I mean, in some respects, this is karma biting DC on the A because of what they did to the creators of Superman back in the day, I think. So I'm sure they'll get paid and it'll come out on time, but whatever. Excuse me. Oh, I got some iced tea left. Hold on. That's better. Marvel's Nova, Brandon Skelnar, rumored as Richard Rider. Okay. I wasn't a big Nova guy, but seems fine. Seems about right for it, I guess. I don't know. They're kind of running out of IPs. I don't think that many people know about Nova, but a few. Anthony Mackie tells fans chill the F out over Trump Red Hulk comparisons. I'll tell you right now, if this thing comes out and it's an obvious Trump comparison, you're really dead in the water. I think you're super dead in the water. Because the tide is a-turning. I mean, it's bad enough this movie's got, as near as I can see, everything going against it. I don't think there's one thing going for this movie. what's going for this movie? You got Harrison Ford as the co-lead, fresh off of ruining Indiana Jones and whatever legacy he had left. You got Anthony Mackie with a stupid statement, also coming off of a D-plus series that, as far as I could see, got widely panned, that a lot of people, the people who didn't pan it, didn't even see it. Who's coming to see this thing? After you delayed it, I don't know how many times, reshot it at least once in full, I don't see there's any way this movie makes its money. No way. And in fact, I don't even think this will do well at all. You're opening it February 14th, Valentine's Day. Who takes their girlfriend to go see the Red Hulk, who the rumor is he's only in it for about 5 minutes? So he's all over the trailer, but you're going to go see the movie expecting to see the Red Hulk, and it's all Anthony Mackie? I don't think you're going to be happy at all as a consumer. That's like, oh, wow, you got cherry donuts? Oh, wow, I can't wait to eat these. And you take them home and you bite into the donut. Wait, this is lemon. Oh, this one's lime. This one's licorice. Where the hell's the cherry? And there's 2 cherry in it, and the rest are all different flavors. I think you'd be pretty pissed if it said, if you expected a box of cherry donuts. So I don't see how this movie makes its money at all, but maybe that's part of the plan to completely wreck Disney. I think it could be that that's very much the case, partly because of internal sabotage by whatever Chinese national CCP guys they got working in there, partly that some of the people within Disney are compromised, and partly, I don't know, maybe Bob Iger is one of those people. Maybe. He seems to make incredibly bad decisions, in my view. Kathleen Kennedy couldn't make even a good decision, in my view. So, although I think Kathleen Kennedy's decisions are mostly ego-driven, I've always contended that the CCP want to wreck Hollywood so their movies can take center stage. And it's all about CCP, communist projection. If they control movies, even a little bit, they control part of the narrative worldwide. And they can influence people. And that's what communists, their number one priority is that. It's always been the case. They must control the media. They must control the message as much as possible. So, Disney is just an absolute wreck to me. Jake and Logan Paul are doing a reality show. I know you can't wait for that. Chris Evans denies Avengers Doomsday Marvel return. That's a shame. As much as I can't stand Chris Evans anymore, he is good in the role. I think they should just recast him. I think they should bring him back for a scene, have something happen to him, and recast another guy. Have something happen to him, he gets younger, and then you cast another actor in the role. Something like that. Here's a look at Frankenstein coming out from Guillermo del Toro. So Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein, and Jeff Elordi as the monster. You can see him over there on the left. I mean, looks fine, I guess. Looks a little overblown, the set, but whatever. I mean, it's Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein. What else? Daredevil Born Again dumps She-Hulk, so you won't be seeing She-Hulk in the new Daredevil thing. This we already knew. Oh, there was more nonsense about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man this week. Here's a review. Woke nonsense. Who else was revealed? Dr. Connors, the Lizard, was revealed. They raced and gender swapped him too. Believe it or not. Just when you thought it wasn't woke enough, and then I was like, oh my god, they even race swapped and gender swapped him. So yeah, that just looks like unbelievable trash. Alex Ogle, not a Frankenstein by that commie Del Toro. He ruins everything. Well, we'll see. Checking in at that Park Place. Natalie Portman already returned to Star Wars as Padme, but was cut out of Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Who cares? Not me. I can't stand Natalie Portman. I definitely can't stand Padme. I associate her with the ruin of Star Wars. Long before it went woke, I said, "Ugh, this is terrible." So no thank you. No thank you a whole lot. John Adams, is there anything left in Frankenstein that could possibly be explored? I can't imagine anything original in it. I mean, no. Unless they do a new twist on it, you know. They did a few modern twists. You know. But it's also overblown. And you can tell when they're out of ideas, I think, because that's when, like, the sets get super elaborate and they hire big names and they blow all kinds of money on effects, and that to me is the mark of, oh, this is gonna be like nothing new. Alex Ogle, it's true. Padme was equally to blame for Jar Jar Binks. John Adams, she was decent in V for Vendetta. I will give her that, but I after seeing her in Star Wars, I associated her with the ruin of Star Wars, and I've never ever been able to get past it. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, ooh, I know you love these guys, deny rumors of divorce after Duchess reportedly approached publisher on post-divorce tell-all book. I knew this was coming. Who didn't know this was coming? This woman, talk about a red flag. Oh yeah, she's going to divorce Harry, and I believe she'll get his nuts in the settlement. Because I think she already has them. I don't know what more humiliation could happen to the royal family, but I promise you, Meghan Markle is probably working on it 24/7. Because when she leaves, oh my God. Now, I don't believe half the stuff this broad says. I think she's nuts. I think she's literally crazy. Like, so crazy with her own narcissism, she'll just say stuff to get book sales and become famous. She wants to run for president. Like, she is off the charts, I think, narcissistic. That's just my personal opinion based on what I've seen of her. So, and I can't stand her. I mean, every time I see her in a headline, I'm like, oh, I can't even make fun of her anymore. She's so annoying. But, you know, how unsatisfied do you have to be with life in general that you're a hot chick in LA, you have a career in acting, you somehow marry a prince and have all the money in the world, like all the money in the world and attention, and all you have to do is be nice to people. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is come out for a few fundraisers and smile and say, thanks so much for coming out. This is a very important cause. Like, it couldn't be an easier life. Not good enough. Alex Ogle. They'll divorce in English courts, so she'll get a better settlement, and then she'll rinse Harry in the U.S. to get the stories out. Ugh. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. Ugh. But at least the guy won't be king, probably. At least his brother seems to have his act together. As much as those guys do, anyway. Let's see. Let's wrap up over at Breitbart. Here's more of the protests. More on the Grammys. Oh, this was a story this week. Zevek's demise. She'll get run off the road in a French tunnel. Maybe, if she's not careful. Paramount is seeking to settle Trump's $10 billion 60 Minutes lawsuit over deceptively edited Kamala Harris interview. That's big. I've been waiting for Paramount. I got 2 Paramount stocks, and I'm waiting for the sale of Paramount, because when they make the sale, then you get your stock bought out, and it's usually higher. It should be higher than what I paid for it. So I'm just sitting here waiting for that to happen, and it just won't happen. I think it's finally going to happen in a month or 2, but jeez. Yeah, here it is. On the transgender actress Carla Sofia Gascon. Sorry for the tweets trashing George Floyd, Islam, and the Oscars. And she accused rival nominees' team of smear campaign, which is very possible. I wouldn't put it past people in Hollywood to do that, but the question is, why would you nominate this movie at all? Oh, and then they must have had the Fire Aid concert to help the LA fire victims, because they have clips here, the best moments from that. So I guess that happened. Pop star Pink, who's super uber woke, shouts out every other gender that's absolutely exist at Fire Aid benefit concert. So I guess that's part of the highlights you can enjoy. Billy Crystal tugs heartstrings at Fire Aid benefit concert speech. We will laugh again. Okay. And an article called Disney's Dark Days Ahead. You got that right. I don't see how Disney recovers. I think they're being run off the road on purpose. See, this is something corporations do. They build them up, and then at some point, it's more valuable to just gut them, right? To basically steal all the money from the inside of it, let it collapse, and then sell off the assets. And I think that's what they, after many years, they're finally doing that to Disney. They looked at the numbers and they said, we've got no place to go but down. We cannot save this. Let's just gut the whole place. And that's what I think they're doing. So I don't have any proof of that. That's just my theory. You know, it's like the mafia. When the mafia wants to, and they did this in an episode of The Sopranos, they had a degenerate gambler who owned a sporting goods store. He was played by the Terminator 2 guy, Robert Patrick, right? So he's indebted to the mob up to his eyeballs. He can't pay them back. So Tony Soprano takes his car, takes everything he owns, and then he has him run up his credit, whatever credit he has left, and buy everything he can get his hands on. And then the mob guys just steal it all. So he's just on the phone begging for extra credit, telling people he's still going to keep his sporting goods store open, and he's still going to pay him back. But that's a lie, and he knows it, but he has no choice but to do what the mafia guys say. And so he buys everything he can possibly buy just to pay back Tony, and then they just take it all. And the end result is the entire, he's ruined. He'll never work again. He has nothing, he's got no house. I think he got to keep a car. He's living in a car. He's just completely broke. And the mob guys get everything. I think it's a similar process with companies. They're just going to gut everything. They're going to sell it off, and they're going to pretend like there's nothing left, government. We can't pay taxes on it. It's all gone. And they're just going to sell everything. And then people will make money, and then they'll leave the employees hanging. They'll leave debtors hanging. Anybody who worked, companies that worked with Disney, they're all going to get effed, in my opinion. I don't know that for sure. I'm just speculating. But I think it's bound to happen eventually, or some version of that. But let's end on a bright spot. Roseanne Barr. Hollywood should get back in touch with Americans after making itself irrelevant with woke politics. And Roseanne has a new show she's working on. and it's going to be her version of the Conners, the way she thought the Conners should be. Her Roseanne show, essentially a sitcom. I'm not sure what it's going to be on, but you know, they're going to be a super right-wing family instead of the whacked out family they had on Roseanne that took over the show and kicked her off and killed off her character. So so a little bit of a bright spot there. I think we're going to see more and more of that going forward. Eventually, networks and other big studios are going to get on board like, hey, we can make money again. Oh, my God, let's do that. And they're just going to change because they're going to fire everybody who's woke. Eventually they will have to. Because these people, a few of them will change, and a few of them will just go along with it because they like money. But a lot of them will have to be fired, I think. Ardit, Roseanne was in a rap video with Tom McDonald not too long ago. It was pretty good. I saw that. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't like the song, but I liked the sentiment in it. I think it was called Daddy's Back or something like that, right? That was like part of the chorus. I like the sentiment. The song didn't really, I didn't really like the song. I like Tom, what's his name? McDonald. I want his songs to be better. They're not quite to my liking. They're like almost there, some of them, but like, yeah, it's like, it's all right. I like the sentiment and I like the lyrics, but it's okay. Ardent, eventually profit will beat progressiveness. Yeah, I think so. Eventually. But I think it'll take a few years. I think probably by the end of the 2 years into the Trump administration, I think it's going to be a very different landscape. You're going to see things really start to turn around everywhere. Number one. And, you know, if some of those, and I talked about loosening the restrictions on starting businesses and whatnot. So if you get a lot of loosening of restrictions, especially in the red states, I think you're just going to see people start businesses and start shooting films and start making moves and distribution, and they won't be able to be stopped by these regulations anymore, and some of them will be sued out of existence if they cause an actual threat to the studio. But I think there'll hopefully be so many that the studios will just, they'll be too wrapped up in their own problems to care. Zevic's demise, as long as it doesn't go too far in the other direction. Yeah, that's the new worry. Can we get to somewhere between Leave It to Beaver and Pink Flamingos? Well, when the pendulum swings, it always swings back a little harder in the other direction. I won't say wrong direction, other direction. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see an era, and it's not going to be too far along, where everything gets super religious again. So in other words, it won't be censorship like, oh, we're not going to do that. It's going to be like the old censorship, which was, oh, we can't do this. This will piss off all the religious people, and we don't want to do that. So, no. I mean, I've had that problem already with the Pineys. The moment I mention the Jersey Devil to some people, they go, oh, the devil, I'm out. I'm a religious person. And I go, no, you don't understand. It's a folk tale. It's not really the devil. And it's different from that. And I said, the Pineys kill devils. They're, oh, no, I'm out. They don't want to hear the explanation. So you're going to get some of that. You're going to see the very same people who were woke go religious. I mean, we just had this week, I think it was, this OnlyFans girl. She found Jesus, gave up OnlyFans. That's going to be the new thing. You can see all these OnlyFans girls. Now imagine they're OnlyFans girls doing God knows what on camera, and they go from that to being, oh no, now I'm super religious. Okay. Weren't guys just running a train on you last week? But now you know Jesus. Okay. Because it's just going to be where the money is. Everybody's going to be doing it. There are people, TikTok is going to, if they save it, which they might, I don't know. It's going to turn into it's going to be religious. It's going to be super religious. They're going to be like, oh, well, I'm religious and I found Jesus. And here's a quote in the Bible. And then somebody will be like, oh, well, I found Jesus 2 days before you. And here's 2 quotes from the Bible. Oh, well, I found Jesus and I am reenacting a scene from the Bible. Oh, well, I found Jesus. You watch. It's just going to be a different kind of virtue signal. I've seen it before. Ardent, at Zevek's demise, I think Tony is right. There's going to be a period of very pro-religious programming as the pendulum swings away, and then it'll settle back to what it was about 15 years ago inside. Well, like, as we approach religiosity, we'll hit a point like where we're back in the 90s again, and it'll be great for about a year or two, and then it'll just keep going. Ardent, of another 5 once people realize they can go back to profitable models. Yeah, hopefully. Ardent, OF girls go religious, still any excuse to be on their knees for money. Ardent, that's a good one. Zevek's demise, LOL. You made Zevek laugh. Nice. Yeah. So what have we learned today? Well, we learned, what was the box office total? I don't even know. I've learned nothing apparently. It was 82 million. That was better than last week. Last week was 62 million. We learned that Dogman is the #1 movie. The Chinese are coming from Hollywood, and probably we're going to get a bunch of religious TV shows in the not too distant future. An attempt to win everybody back. Everything's going to get super based, but we don't go too far in the other direction. There's already some signs of that. You see it online. You see guys saying whacked out stuff about the bad guy from Germany. Watch out for that crap on X. Man, it's been a lot of that recently. People saying, I mean, Andrew Tate is off his nut as far as I'm concerned. I don't like that guy at all. Yeah, he says a bunch of base things once in a while, but he also says stuff that are like, whoa, dude. So we've also gotten many pitches for Sydney Sweeney to be in movies. Good job. Good job, everyone. Ardent, today we learned Joan has some very inflammatory things to say about certain people. No! Zevek's demise, Little House on the Prairie 2. Yeah, Netflix optioned that. So they're going to bring that back. And I expect the entire family to be diverse. And the Babylon Bee had a bit where they were they made the announcement, and that the first show they apologized for being on Indian land or something. It was pretty funny. Alex Ogle, click that like button, everybody. Thank you, Alex. Zevek demise. Right, Joan. Jeez. Ardent, Tate is a poser, grifter, highway to heaven. I don't think they'll ever bring that back because of what the male lead did. If you don't know what that actor did, you can look it up on your own. I won't repeat it here. LeMay, Tate admitted that he pretends to be his cam girls in text to clients. I'm not surprised. Anything on the internet, like, you know, these guys scamming people, or you know, these scams online where somebody falls in love with somebody. I 100% believe they're all guys, because only a guy would sit on the internet for hours pretending to talk to another guy and being all sexy, and sending them sexy pics, and you know, that's a guy thing. Oh, I'm gonna get this guy to send me $500 today. They probably do it like all day. It's probably a bunch of guys who are in other countries doing this nonstop. Ardent, Landon? Oh, I need to do some research apparently. Not Michael Landon, from Seventh Heaven, the blonde guy. Let me find his picture and I'll show you. So we're on the same. There it is, Seventh Heaven. Stephen Collins. Yeah. he had a scandal. I believe it was him. He had a scandal. So you can look that up. All right. And on that, I'm going to wrap it here. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Thanks for everybody for voting me up. Thanks to all who buy the Pineys. Next up for me, I'll be at the Residence at Cherry Hill Senior Place on Friday. And then at Sunrise, Jackson on Monday the 10th at 3 p.m. Both are at 3 p.m. And I'll be doing my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. And with any luck, I'll be getting some more events soon. Ardent, oof. That's not good. Zevic's Demise. Thanks, Tony. Good night, everyone. Good night, Zevic. Ardent, have a good night. I'm working on the Pineys 3 for your information. Thank you, my friend. I hope you enjoy. I am working on the Pineys 18. I started working on that, but I'm going to have to go back to editing 17 soon. So that's another thing I'm doing. And what else am I doing? Oh, I went down in the Pines today. I had breakfast at a gun club, so that was nice. Zevic's Demise. Piney 6 is still my favorite at Arden. Thank you. That is the Highwayman Piney with Bloody John Bacon. Bloody John Bacon. I don't want to give it away, but something's going to happen in book 17 that I think you'll be very excited about. Alex Ogle. Great stream again. Thank you, Alex. Good night, everyone. Have a great week. Arden, slow down. I can't afford to buy more before next Christmas. Thank you all. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Joan, you say good night? She's on the floor. Here, let's give Joan one last peek. There's Joan. There's little Joan. All right. Say good night to everybody. Oh, you were such a good dog today. So nice and quiet. You haven't pooped anywhere. Good job. It's a low bar, Joan, but you matched it. All right? So I'm going to put you over here and shut down the stream. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Let's see. End stream. All right. And